Hey, why don't you rub your cock up against the phone? Let me see what kind of noise it makes.
I'm not going to do that.
Just do it. It's a big deal.
Are you gay?
Which Howard are you talking to?
The one who asked that question.
Oh, no. I'm just trying to be entertaining, that's all. I'm not gay. Am I gay? Of course not. I have a wife.
A lot of gay men have wives.
Yeah, but come on. You know me. You know I'm not gay. I'm just asking the guy how big his cock is.
Well, you're asking him to rub it up against the phone.
And all you do is mooch over people. You do nothing. You're a big homo.
That's not entirely true.
What do you do, really?
I'm bisexual and I don't mooch off everybody.
People are going to be shocked that you put out an exercise and diet book because they don't think of you that way, right? They think about you. But here you are today with is the book out now?
Yep, Formula 50.
Is there a bunch of pictures of you with your shirt off so we can see your muscularity?
Well,
No, I didn't take my shirt off.
Musculature?
We got to have an example.
I want to see your musculature.
This is not about... this is not the Chippendale show, Robin.
Are you very ripped? If you took off your clothes now, you were totally nude. Would I see a man who is in the prime condition?
You have to have him totally nude?
Yeah.
But look,
Would you mind being totally nude right now?
Yeah, I'm not taking my clothes off.
Please.
I was trying to give me a strip in here.
Please, if you don't mind.
Girls you bring up here.
Take off your clothes. Take off your shirt. Let me see
I'm
what's
not taking
doing.
my shirt off.
I want to see if you got titties on.
Last time I watched the show, I see you had the porn stars up there.
Yeah.
And y'all had the girls in here stripping and stuff like that. I'm like, me? You want to bring me here?
I want you nude right now.
You got to be kidding me, man.
Come on, man.
I'm doing way too good for this kind of shit, Howard.
Look at your ass. You're so muscular.
Do you have muscles in your ass that you'd like to show?
I'm not doing this in a gay way. I just want to, see if you're fat or not. I just want to see. It's not gay.
No, I'm gonna say,
man. Tip of your balls to the tip of your penis was over 9 inches.
No, right at the
9 inches.
Yeah. Is that, you making me feel good, man. I thought that, because when you watch porno, those dudes is like a foot.
9 is perfect.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe that's that's the secret. Oh, that's it. Wait, hold on, Robin. Is 9 perfect, Robin?
Perfect.
What does Howard mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean. My daughter's 15. All her friends are like consumed with who's gay and who isn't. Yeah, that's like a big thing.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, right. They think I'm gay. Everyone's gay.
Welcome, everybody, again for another episode of Quite Frankly, the Howard Stern podcast. A Howard Stern podcast. I'm your host, Phil Moore, a.k.a. Jim Fix. And unfortunately, Sam's not feeling very mockery today, so she asked to be excused from today's broadcast. But luckily, Raven has decided to join us once again, and she's been able to. So thanks so much for doing so.
You're welcome, Fillmore. I'm glad to be here.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who didn't listen to the previous breakdown that we recorded yesterday, it won't be. I'm not sure when it's going to be released just yet. But she does the mockery thread. She opens them up on Facebook every morning without fail, and she does the. It's a real mercy mission. It's the Lord's work, and she's the Raven Teresa of podcasting to help all of our these leprosy recordings. At any rate, we're going to try to cover as much as we can. We're starting with March 25th. We only did 2 days yesterday because that's how much shit we got out of 2 days worth of nonsense. So this particular one, Alec Baldwin came in, and they're commenting first of all on the Zoom issues and how they had none whatsoever. So
today is the last day we'll be doing a show over Zoom, which, by the way, I got to hand it to these guys. It is great technology.
Yeah, we didn't have any real glitches at all.
Okay, go ahead.
They love not knowing. They're praising themselves constantly. Here we go with the hero worship of themselves. True narcissists through and through.
Well, first of all, we had no issues, no, and this is the last day with Zoom. No, they ended up using it all the next week as well. They just changed maybe microphones. That was about it.
Right. Well, he had the people coming in to install the technology. So it had to sit in the dungeon for 3 days, and then Beefus had to wipe it down. And then he said he was pulling wires for 3 hours with a technical tutor, I guess you call him. And So the sound quality was a little bit better on Monday, but they were still using Zoom. We'll find out that they mentioned that in interviews with various guests. So when he's looking at their house or asking them questions.
They had more fucking dropouts than East Side High. I wanted to ask you, this is one thing, the COVID-19 related. Are you having any skin issues with overusing sanitizer and or dryness in the air?
No, it's been kind of rainy here and humid. I honestly, we use a lot of lotion on our hands too to kind of balance it out. So no, we're good.
Okay, good. Because I can only imagine that Beefus, what her hands must look. She generally looks like a skeleton anyway. But I only imagine it's like that SCTV sketch where Catherine O'Hara is complaining to Edith Prickly about her hands washing dishes, and then they bring out the Palmolive, and it's Palmolive knockoff with acid inside the thing. So she puts her hand in the water and just a skeleton hand comes out. It's incredible. Anyway, so he doubles down on the I hate kids Alec Baldwin rant, and this is what you're hearing.
So today's show, well, gee, I don't even know where to begin, but today's show, we're going to answer the question, is Alec Baldwin the most miserable guy during this whole quarantining? Because he's got... look, I'm an older dude. The thought of like taking care of a younger kid right now would be exhausting to me. And
go ahead.
The thought of him taking care of any kid at any age.
At any age, I was thinking the same thing.
He's a kid himself.
Yeah. When he was 42, he didn't want to take care of them. I think it was in Miss America. I think Benjamin pointed this out that when they had Ashley was the last one. That he said there was some rant he went on about, you told me that when we had this kid, I wasn't going to have to do shit. Right. Why don't I get another fucking maid, or hire an army of maids. So he never wanted to have anything. Yeah.
Allison wanted to take a shower one time and he refused.
That was it. That was the situation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Alec's not as old as I am, but he's pretty much up there. And he's got the young wife, and they went all out berserk and had they have 4 babies at home. Like 4 little, what's the age range again?
It's like 7, 5, 3, and 1, something.
Now, mind you, that would be maddening for any sane person. But I mean, your parents, that's kind of the part of the deal, isn't it?
Correct. I mean, Alec's got 4 kids at home. He's got Ireland out with Justin Bieber, who never really gets mentioned. She's not counted as one of their kids right now, I don't think. But we found out this week that Hilaria is pregnant again, and she didn't. I think I mentioned this yesterday.
Yep.
She doesn't mention it at all. It was a great opportunity for her to put it out there, get some press. Yep. She didn't use Howard. She used her, another source. And Alec, well, I'm sure we'll get into the clips, but you'll hear his take on raising kids. But no one will confirm to Wiggy that raising kids is a burden. Nobody. They say that it's a change, but it's not a burden. They don't hate it.
I didn't actually pull that particular clip, but you're right. He does go into basically none of them take the bait. He's looking for it's projection on every level. This one, he doesn't want kids. He wants everybody to say they don't want kids, so he's normal. Like he's absolutely fine. But it never happens. This next clip, thankful he has servant beef around the house.
I have Beth here, and I was laying in bed thinking, if I didn't have her here, I'd go berserk, I really would, because.
Now let's specify, everybody. It's not that if he didn't have her, it's if he didn't have anybody. It happens to be her. But he needs a fucking Jeeves. He needs a butler. He needs an Alfred in his wig cave. So if he doesn't have it, fuck it. Yeah.
I like the term Cato. I think of Ralph that way. He's out in the pool house and comes in when he needs him. And, he'd be the one taking care of him if there was no beefus. That's just my opinion.
And that works, by the way, everybody. That's a double analogy if you're talking about OJ or the Green Hornet.
It would just be weird not to have any. I mean, you're used to it. You've been alone. But, you have people in and out of your life constantly. You have people in your home. All of a sudden, though, it's just me and Beth. And we both looked at each other. Thank God we get along really well.
Yeah,
because,
you enjoy each other.
Yeah, like we've only had...
Does this sound convincing to you? If you're doing Actor Studio with James Lipton, rest in peace.
It's farcical. It's totally, she's in Girls Town. They don't ever spend this much time together. We talked about vacations cut short. They're in a business relationship. And right now she's doing overtime round the clock. She's going to be saying whatever script he writes for her. And he's just putting himself out there as, aren't we strong and aren't we in love? But come on, we all know. We just hear him. You know everything out of his mouth. You just take it, reverse it, and that's the truth.
Well, not only that, but then the passive-aggressive projection onto Robin saying, look, you have people taking care of you all the time, in and out of the house, people coming in and out of your life, also kind of denigrating her, saying she doesn't really have friends of substance. In and out of your life implies that you sometimes you have dealings with people and then suddenly they're gone, which is more his life than anything else. If you think about all the people he's discarded over the years, and it's true, Robin is just as useless as he is. But if you had to put both of them in a situation where, let's say, they had to iron something, you think who do you think would be more capable, Robin or Wiggy?
Oh, wow. Oh, geez.
Right. It's not like a slam dunk. There's no slam dunk answer.
No. That's wow. I want to say, I kind of leaning towards Robin, but yeah, because he's king baby. He's a veal. Right. And at least she's, she was raised a little differently. And absolutely. I think maybe she had a couple years in there in her 20s and 30s where she had to do for herself. If she was out in San Francisco, she was in Pennsylvania for a while. Yeah. I think, I'm going to go with Robin on that one.
I would go with Robin.
Really, yeah.
I would only go with Robin because of the poverty sort of that she endured as a kid. Like there might have been more opportunity for her to do, help with the laundry or something. When she was still living with her parents, obviously. But when she got to it as an adult, we found out from Quivers of Life that she was a spoiled brat and didn't do anything anyway. So they got on an even keel. But at one point, she might have known. So this next clip, because I'm not going to play the whole thing about beef. Actually, no, let's play a little more just in case.
One little minor thing where I annoyed the fuck out of her, but it was so minor. And I think because of therapy, I was pretty good in the situation. What happened was we did the show yesterday, right?
Uh-huh.
And, unbeknownst to me, while we're in here, quote unquote, working, she was downstairs. She cleaned the entire kitchen. So I came down and I was fucking ravenous.
Do you even know where the kitchen is?
Yeah, I know where it is. So I was ravenous yesterday, and I went downstairs after the show, and I made myself a bagel with peanut butter.
And that seems extraordinarily fattening for a guy like him. Bagel and peanut butter? I've never even thought of that.
No, that's a horrible combination. I mean, you got to go with the cream cheese or butter at worst. But peanut butter, no, that's... she's getting in a great dig here, but it's also a projection. She's like, do you even know where the kitchen is?
Yeah.
Now, she claims to be cooking for herself, but I'm questioning that too. I know she's got people bringing her food, and she got all excited about Hot Pockets one day.
Yep.
She thought that was great. So who knows if she's eating just microwave stuff out of a freezer, because that's the easiest. I don't see her cooking a big old roast beef or any kind of real food.
No, and in fact, in the case like this, if you have to do self-isolation, one of the things when there wasn't, every Sunday I would make a crap load of food, or my wife would, or both of us would, different times during the day, and freeze meals throughout the week because we just didn't want to cook. If we were on different schedules, we didn't want to cook for one person or cook for both of us and have stuff cold, which kind of defeated the purpose. So if you just reheated meals, freeze them, and then reheat things ever you need, they're fine. We found that there was no degradation. It was more practical than cooking every day. You know what I mean? All the prep and stuff. So I don't imagine Robin doing anything like that. I don't know if Ben and Jerry. Does Ben and Jerry do delivery?
And then
I know she's probably got the local grocery store that can deliver that right to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. near the stove. And Beth like looked over at me and said, "Oh man, I just cleaned that whole area. And when you cut the bagel over the stove, you just put crumbs all over the fucking stove. And like, I hope you don't mind me pointing this out." I go, "Honey, you just busted your balls cleaning this kitchen. And I walked in and made crumbs. And that was absolutely not acceptable of me to do. And that will never happen again. You should absolutely bring it up because that is disrespectful of me."
Go ahead. What's your take on that?
The acting is super bad right now. And it's all words from his therapist. He's talking to a therapist twice a week. So he's reciting what the therapist has told him, like how to get along and how to, when your wife is going to confront you on something, this is what you need to say. This is, there's communication tools out there, very basic ones, but he needs that tutor. So I just hear him reciting whatever the therapist told him to say. And, what's he going to do? What's he going to yell at her? She's going to go on strike and then he's screwed. He's going to have to make his own food. She's making everything. She's cleaning. He's not doing crap.
So do you think it was more along the lines of, I'm sorry, and then just not doing anything? Like she's still cleaning it up anyway after him, but there was no, "Honey, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this."
I'm sure there was an eye roll or like a big huff on his part where, oh, excuse me. There's a part of him that, is just, he just can't bring himself to have that human moment with the person where he's sincere. There's no sincerity. So
no, it sounds like a script. It sounds like a script, right?
Yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall in their place and watching them dance around and tiptoe around each other, trying not to make each other mad or piss each other off. It's got to be some hell of a show.
Oh, I believe it. Clip number 4. Robin admits she doesn't know how to use the washing machine.
But that was the thing. You said to me, I should clean my house. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know how to turn on the washing machine.
Yeah, I don't either.
How would I do laundry? I'm an invalid in that way. I don't know where anything is.
Yeah, well, you know what? You have to learn, Robin.
Sorry. I'll be in one room if that's the case.
You're a very bright woman. You can learn.
I can learn to clean.
Beth said you could too.
Oh my Lord.
Wow.
This is two toddlers talking to each other. First of all, Robin is not. She's not bright. Like let's stop with the fiction that she's an intelligent woman. She's more cultured than him, but that wouldn't take very much. If she saw one play in her life, she'd be more cultured. If she read one book, or if she read the audiobook like Bowie. Please go ahead.
She has this haughtiness about her where because she's well traveled and studies wine and goes to vineyards out in California, she's got this whole ideal about her, but when it comes down to it, she can't operate a Swiffer. She can't operate a vacuum. She can't operate washing machines. Like very basic skills. These are things they're made super easy nowadays with technology.
Of course.
And he's right along with her. Oh, I'm with you. I don't have a clue. So how do we listen to these people with all their money and their inabilities, and just how, do we relate to these stories?
Well, I have an issue with the fact that, okay, I'm going to bring it up now because you pointed out that it was on the 7th and I couldn't find the clip, even though I went through the audio. I combed through it and I didn't find it, but I'm sure it's there. I just missed it by, I don't know, burping or something the way he would. But on April 7th, she pointed out, Robin did, that she actually had a maid service in the military when she was in the Air Force. And in her book, she does not mention it one bit. Why? Because that would take away from her fake bluster and all this I'm so empowered and stuff. She the only reason to leave that out is because number one, that person doesn't exist because you're so much of a narcissist, but number two, it would take away from the idea that you're self-sufficient. I found that fascinating that she would admit to that well after the fact. Yep.
Yeah, she likes us all to think she was a strong woman, this great nurse who was straddling patients and helping infants, and so she has all this great knowledge, but she leaves out little details like that, and then they come out years later, decades later.
Absolutely.
So I just kind of, I again, it's like eye roll after eye roll listening to the show, but hey, that's what we do.
So they finally get Alec Baldwin in after plugging he was going to be on, and there really wasn't much about it except political talk, which I don't want to. It's boring, and you can find that anywhere, guys. It's not our mandate to go on about politics. But then Wiggy, he makes a thing he calls Wiggy's place Versailles, which I love.
So let me ask you this: so where are you? Are you in? You're in the city?
No, I'm on Long Island. I'm near you.
You're on the island. Oh, so you're doing the house. You're doing it from Versailles. Are you at Versailles?
God bless Alec. So he's a smart cookie. Listen, you can say what you like about him, and if anybody's at all interested, if you can find the 2 Alec Baldwin appearances on Inside the Actors Studio, you'd say this is a very talented motherfucker. He really at one point was one of the best actors in the world. He's still very good. He might be an asshole, but he's not a stupid person by any stretch of the imagination. He knows Wiggy, and he knows by putting that goes over Wiggy's head, by the way, or his mop. But considering the Louis the 14th wig he used to wear during the private parts blitz, that Versailles is such a perfect word.
Oh, it's so fitting. And I don't know. Is this the end of the clip? Is there a little bit more of what Alec calls the place?
I don't think there was, because I went through it, and then it goes into who do you think of how the governor is handling things and 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 then I don't believe there's any more, because and it kind of Wig he doesn't get offended because he's just stupid to get it, so he doesn't come back at him. The next clip is called
Alec.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Alec called his place the Miami airport. I think that got missed somehow, but he explained it as Versailles and the Miami airport, and then it got into, Wiggy just derails at that point. He starts firing back questions at Alec, but I do remember that.
Well, with that, maybe that was before, because he'd established here that he's in New York. So, but he knows that Wiggy's got the place in, was it Palm Beach?
Yeah, he's got a mansion down in Palm Beach too.
Right.
But so I really thought it was referencing this. That's okay. We can go forward.
That's
I just thought that was a good analogy for the place.
Okay. Zoom troubles with Alec.
We have an activity that is weather dependent. So if it's a nice day out, like yesterday,
oh my God,
we went hiking in the woods near the house.
I'm telling you guys, it really was like there was a time when Eric the Midget called in. He goes, I want 10 minutes. So they put him on, and they muted themselves so Eric couldn't hear them. And they were just talking over him. That was the exact thought I had in my head, like when he would call in.
There's some great analogies to the Eric the Midget show when you're listening to this.
Yeah. So the next clip for that day is Robin asks if Wiggy is doing phone therapy.
I don't know.
And speaking of that, what about your therapy? Are you doing that by phone?
Yeah. I go, there's nothing to talk about except coronavirus. And he goes, no, you're just avoiding again. You got to start talking. And then before you know it, I'm fucking yelling and screaming and doing,
About what?
Oh, I yell about everything.
Oh, my goodness.
Mostly I was yelling about my mother and having to take care of her.
Oh, that has been on your mind.
Yeah, because she doesn't listen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So he just ends up yelling and screaming. But everything's great with Beef.
Right.
So what else does he have as a target? His mom and dad who can't hear the show. But even that comes off poorly.
Mm-hmm.
He has an assistant to talk to their assistant. So it's like a third or fourth party going on. But
Agents.
I really think that his yelling and screaming, that's about Beef. That's about these cats. These cats are having babies left and right. I know you don't see everything that like Samantha and I see. On the Instagram, though, she's got like 2 fresh litters of kittens there. She's got newborns and incubators being delivered. She's still doing drop-offs. Mm-hmm. And all you get is 20 seconds today, no lie, of just his hand petting a cat. It was Helen Rose today, not Mushu. Sorry. But that's all you got. No sound even. Just this hand petting a cat. 20 seconds.
Wow.
What is he bitching about? What does he have to bitch about? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear those.
And at a time, this is the thing, no self-awareness, he never had anyway, and he doesn't give a fuck. This is at a time where the country is really, really in a state where you don't want to hear millionaires or multi-tens and hundred millionaires saying really picayune shit, getting upset over nothing, and bitching about it as a fucking retiree who's got no problems whatsoever. To hear him bitch about his problems when people have real problems is it's just offensive, really, at this point. He really should be looking to put as many bits, talk about stuff, talk about himself. This now would be a perfect time if he wants to cement his the deluded notion in his brain that he's a great broadcaster, to really open up. But no, he'll never do that. This is it's fallback greatest hits shtick. Go ahead.
It's astounding the lack of self-awareness that he has and that he displays when he's talking to other celebs and joking with them about being in their mansions and stuff. And meanwhile, there's people out there, like we know people on the staff have been affected. 3 different people, Will, Sal, and Bowie.
Yep.
We'll get into that when we get to those days. But he still has no compassion, no empathy. None. And it just came to me that I think it was last year, he wanted to celebrate first responders or people in the military once a month. And this was probably at least a year. Maybe I'm off. Maybe it's like 2 years ago.
I think it might even be 3.
Heroes.
Yeah.
It's been so long. I lose track because they all kind of run together. But this would be a perfect opportunity for him to bring in a regular person, ask them what they do, tell them thank you, and just celebrate different, like EMTs, fire police, regular police. There's a lot of things that he's missing out on in the real world, but he's just unrelatable. He's up in his ivory tower, or I'm sorry, he's taking, strolls on the beach while the rest of us are trying to, just get through day to day.
Yeah, he's on Mount Wig Olympus, and there's nothing. The only signal. If you remember the old Hercules cartoon where there would be this little the centaur would have the it was a Translux. Johnny Nash sang the theme song. Maybe it was a Canadian show and you didn't get it in the States. But to summon Hercules, he'd have this little signal that would this moonbeam that would hit Mount Olympus, and then Hercules, who looked amazingly like a young Elvis, would fly down in a singlet. And somebody's out there's got to know what I'm talking about. And they're like literally 6-minute cartoons. And he cannot. You're right. Like some mental health specialist, something that would actually benefit his listeners. Someone, not just Dr. Anus, or who does come in again, I think. Or actually, no, he did come in, and then they're talking about it and retroactively talking about. This next clip was from the 30th, the following Monday, where he said he wouldn't be on Zoom. It still is. And this clip is Robin is Always Right. And it's about her and Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy basically wrote, it was really interesting that I was on your show. And when I said the water temperature doesn't matter, Robin, when you wash your hands, Jimmy said the water temperature doesn't matter. And Robin argued with Jimmy that it does matter. And then he said a day later, Dr. David Agus was on, and he said the temperature doesn't matter. And Robin totally agreed with him.
Excuse me, David Agus gave me a reason.
What?
He has their explanation for why it doesn't matter.
Here is Robin arguing with Jimmy Kimmel on day one, and then she is agreeing. I'm
explaining to you, David Agus said that the coronavirus is sensitive to soap.
You've been caught. Listen carefully to yourself.
Jimmy,
listen to yourself.
Way to wash your hands. You don't need hot water, right, Jimmy?
The temperature of water
makes no difference. What'd you say?
The temperature of the water makes no difference. I got a full lesson on it from the head of infectious diseases at the Mayo Clinic. And he said that the water temperature does not mean anything.
All right, sure.
This is what I know about JD. What, Robin, you don't believe that? He's right.
Again.
I had to stop it on again because you knew on your bingo cards it was somewhere. Wiggy doesn't know either. He doesn't have any fucking idea. He's not keeping himself informed. He's not watching the news. But I give him credit for going after Robin for that too, because and if anybody knows anything, boiling water makes a difference. Boiling water, but not hot water. Doesn't matter how hot it gets. But it is soap, and the she's right though. Later on, the rubbing of the hands matters in so fact that it in such a way that it's supposed to loosen the germs from your hands enough for the soap and water to get at it and make it more effective to do its job. The soap. So I thought that was funny. Go ahead.
As a listener, this is one of those moments where you know that this is like 2 against 1 ganging up on Robin. So right away she's backed into a corner.
Yep.
And the rest of the show, you can listen if you're listening with us. Wait for her to start jabbing.
Yep.
She's not just going to sit there and take it. She's going to start raging back.
Yep.
Or she'll get in little digs like, your microphone hates you or something, and she'll start putting down Howard in these little passive aggressive ways.
That's right. So she'll find a way to get back at him eventually.
It's a great red flag because you know that there's some unsettledness among these two. And it's just, you got to just listen. There's little nuances to be found.
Yeah.
You're trying to wash the stuff off. The war water clears your skin of what you've put on it. I'm talking about the soap or whatever you're using. It rinses better.
Yeah, but you don't need super hot water.
You don't need super hot water. But, the reason people use cold water sometimes when they use lotions and stuff in a shower is because it doesn't wash it all off.
All right. Now, here is Robin the next day agreeing with Dr. Agus when he says the temperature doesn't matter. You just listen.
When you listen. There's an explanation about
That's right.
soap.
We all know we've been
Hold on, guys. Repeat the clip now. Robin is talking over. So I want her to hear how she completely reversed her position. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Sounds like a podcast we know.
It
does.
When you wash your hands, right? We all know we've been taught how to wash our hands. But experts are coming on. But here's the controversy. Some of us are thinking that you need hot water to wash your hands. Other people like Jimmy Kimmel are saying it can be cold water. It's the soap and the thoroughness. So what if I wash my hands with, let's say, comfortable temperature water and do the full routine for, 20 seconds or 30 seconds, say the alphabet or whatever? Does the temperature of the water matter?
Does not matter.
Wow.
Well, he said it's very sensitive to soap.
Yeah, soap kind of degrades that outside membrane and alcohol. We're lucky there.
You see, there's an explanation.
So then that's good to know.
Because there's an explanation. She agreed with him. What a fucking idiot. Please go ahead.
Just in keeping with what I said earlier, she has a nursing background. So she is the science reference on the show. If there's ever a health question or something like that. So I think right away, this is triggering her because they're questioning all of her background now in a passive kind of way, like her science knowledge. It's just, plus she's supposed to be self-quarantined. She doesn't even have the facts straight. And it's Dr. Agus ganging up, it's Jimmy, and it's Howie. She's really backed into a corner.
Right. She's supposed to be self-isolated, which a lot of people using quarantine incorrectly. And he himself actually fucks it up. He keeps saying quarantine. A quarantine is when you do not see a single person. You don't go out. It sounds like solitary confinement in a prison. You don't see guards. You don't see fellow inmates. Isolation means you do have the capability to go out and go shopping, whatever, but you're choosing to spend most of your waking moments or sleeping moments indoors, away from people. And he keeps using the word quarantine the same way. Oh God, I was thinking of what was the word he kept fucking up. Well, first of all, he fucks up human and huge, humanity. But he gets so many things wrong, and then he doubles down and keeps using them, and it fucking irritates the hell out of me. That's why sometimes I don't know how you girls do it in the morning.
Oh, he loves to drop articles too. Like, there's so many examples. It's just his grammar's atrocious.
So the next clip is Wiggy loves not to know.
Yeah, because like I literally don't know. Like I could right now, people could be dying in droves. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. She won't tell me because she knows I'll get crazy.
The daily numbers, I have to know.
She did let it slip out last night that lots of people are dying. She let that slip out.
Woo! Wow. Like loves to know, loves not to know. Okay, he has an inkling, right? Nothing touches his brain that he doesn't want it to touch. Nothing. It's almost as if he's to refuse information because, and I understand, guys. Yes, when things are bad, you don't want bad news. It's true, but you to not be informed, willfully not be informed, shows immaturity of an insane level. Please, Raven.
Oh, he's so protected here, and he's admitted that he's a hypochondriac. His OCD is back. He's tapping again on things. He says anything he hears, any symptom, he's going to take that on. He's going to have it. So
that's right.
It's that, he loves not knowing. But
right.
Beefus does have to get a few details in there just to keep that fear over him. It's almost like a power she's wielding over him where she's got him captive now. And she can kind of alter the situation, if you will, by feeding him facts or information or stories or who knows. I don't know if she's that bright. Maybe I'm giving her too much credit. But when you're in a situation like that, it's got to be something to see.
Well, it's with him. It's like if you've got a headache, he's got a brain tumor. He's got to one-up you. If you were going through menopause, he'd tell you how his ovaries were fucking killing him. I mean, it's like pain one-upsmanship, and you can't have worse trauma than him. It's impossible. So and like I said, it's in a way, it's there's so many parallels with him and Trump in that sense, where everything's got to be bigger, better than the next person, and it's always more impressive. It's more this, and it's just it's that false sense of self. Anyway, the next clip is called "Wiggy Needs a Vomiting Tutor." So,
yeah, there was a couple days there where she was in real bad shape. She couldn't hold anything.
The context here was Will came in to talk about how his wife and 2 kids had they get tested positive.
Yeah, the wife got the test. She was positive. Will and the kids didn't get tested, but they had the same symptoms and pretty much just self-isolated at home and got through it and were okay after a couple days.
Right.
The kids were great. They didn't really have issues, but you'll hear them plying Will with questions.
That's right.
She was vomiting. Yeah, there was a couple days there where she was in real bad shape. She couldn't hold anything down.
Wow. That's why I don't want to get it. I haven't vomited since college, and I have a phobia about vomiting. I do not want to vomit.
Phobia. Add this to the phone book of things he's afraid of. And I don't buy that he hasn't vomited. I think he goes to Nobu and he starts horking stuff out. He starts putting his finger in his throat. And like it goes when he's in the toilet and he throws up whatever he ate. I don't believe that for a fucking minute.
No.
Yeah. So the next part, Wiggy needs a food washing tutor.
I'm not eating enough fruit because I don't want to go through the hassle of cleaning it, but maybe I will.
Well, you got to clean the vegetables too.
Go ahead.
He's got the food washing tutor. Her name's Beefus. She's the one. She's doing strawberries, 100 strawberries during the show. She's creeping in on her knees and hands on the floor to bring them strawberries.
Right.
He's even washing bananas. Do you find that odd?
What, are they frozen? Do they refreeze? Because they tame the savage pelican. Hold on for a minute. Let's see.
No, but when you
anything like that, yeah.
I start cleaning. Beth starts coaching me. I feel like Jeremy Renner in the Hurt Locker when I'm like, like when I'm setting up the radio studio or cleaning vegetables and people are talking me through shit.
The next clip is called "Asshole Pelican Can't Relate to People Dying." I think that ties into the doesn't want to know.
Watch and go back and watch every episode. I am examining television in a way now during quarantine that I never was able to before. And I won't watch any news. I'm not watching any news. The news bums me out. I don't know what's going on. I say to Beth every day, is the coronavirus thing over? I'm not reading the newspaper.
You're going to be like that guy from Japan who didn't know the war was over.
I'm telling you, I said to Beth, if I watch the news, I start to think I have all the symptoms.
Oh, fucking issue.
So what is going on?
I've never wanted someone to get the symptoms more, honestly. Well, just by listening to this, I get fucking aggravated. It's excruciating.
I'll second that.
Yeah. King Baby not wanting the responsibility of his parents' funeral arrangements. This is something we talked about a little bit yesterday, but we're now actually going into the chronologically accurate progression of events.
Your father paid good money for them, and he trusted you to keep...
I'm going to fuck it up.
You're an idiot. I told you to keep the funeral.
Why am I in trouble? Give them to my sister. She's older than me.
We're not giving them to your sister. We gave them to you. And where are they?
This is what I mean. This is what's on my head.
That's right. Your father gave you one responsibility.
I don't want responsibility.
That is the truth. That goes into some theme somewhere. I don't want responsibility. He has never wanted responsibility. Why? Because if you're responsible and you fuck up, it's on you. He doesn't want the responsibility of a show tanking because of him. He doesn't want responsibility of a movie, which he tried already and failed miserably. And ratings. He doesn't want the responsibility of having to get ratings since he started Sirius. So he's 15, 16 years not beholden to performance and getting paid for it. I wouldn't leave fucking Sirius if they were willing to pay me, $1 million for the kind of job he puts together. I don't blame him for staying as long as he has. Please go ahead. I know you're aching to say something.
It's first thing that comes to mind is Peter Pan. He wants to be a kid.
Yep.
He knows it's serious. He's protected. That was the same thing I was going to say. Was there's no ratings there. Nope. I know there's talk of him going elsewhere, but then they're going to measure him. He doesn't want to be measured because then he's going to be seen for the fraud that he is.
Absolutely.
This responsibility thing, it's a growing up thing. I'm teaching kids about it right now. You take responsibility for your actions, your words, something. No, not this guy. Can't have that.
Do you remember?
It's not in his realm.
No. Do you remember when Jay Thomas explained about how when they were trying to get rid of him on Mork and Mindy by lowering his salary? I don't know if you heard it. It was on the Gilbert.
Yes, I love Jay Thomas.
Me too. I love that episode. He explains, they cut your salary, and of course you quit. You got to get going. So they want to lower your salary to $9,000. He goes, okay. He was okay. You don't want to you an agent, whatever. It's like, let me see. 9 times 18 is that sounds perfect to me. That sounds wonderful. Wiggy is the same with Sirius. He started off with 100 million, wanted less time, or he got less money for the next contract because he didn't meet the second subscription bonus and wasn't ever going to. The merger thing was the lawsuit about the merger with XM. He lost that. So every marble grab that he wanted, he couldn't get. So he just said, look, if I'm going to get less money, I want less days. That was the way he justified the shittier salary, not shitty salary.
What's remarkable is he gave up his rights to a show. He gave up all that up to Sirius, I think, till 2027.
Does
that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. So he really gave up a lot in the last one. Ronnie's leaving this year. There's a lot of great things that we could talk about as far as the next contract goes. But I think there's going to be clues throughout the year. And that's one of the reasons he's broadcasting now the way he is with Tin Can Zoom and going, bringing in any friend of the court that he can find to help prop him up. Because he's got to have some kind of argument for why they should pay him again next year. or give him whatever schedule it is that he wants.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's we said it, I think, in the Charlie Rose podcast. Oh, geez, I just sound like him, Charlie Rose. He's got nothing to bargain with. He's got nothing to bargain with. He gave them the rights to his archives with, I'm sure, some judicious editing as well. So he doesn't want the Kathy Lee stuff out there and the Red List material out there. But guess who's got all that crap, guys? The idea that like certain people getting let go, it lends more credence to the idea that they're lowballing him now because they know he has no options. So what's he going to do? Start a Joe Rogan podcast? No. Too much work. He doesn't, as you said, want the responsibility, and he certainly couldn't handle, his ego couldn't take the fact that he'd get fewer subscribers than Opie at this point, like dedicated listeners, and certainly not people who'd be willing to pay for him. If he made it free, he might get, I don't know, 1 million subscribers, maybe. But if he had to charge money, there's no, like a Compound Media thing, he's not getting anything. Sorry. No one wants to pay for it.
No, everything you said is spot on there. He's just, he's grasping, I think. He's really he's backed into a corner himself on how to handle this and what he's going to do next year. Because negotiations must be starting in the, third quarter? They usually start a few months beforehand, and that's where we hear the all the things about
I don't know what I'm doing.
He's done.
Yeah.
Or I'm so old. I'm just so tired.
I'm ready for.
I barely made it in
quits.
today. I don't know how I can do this any longer.
Right. He's been doing that. Hey, how many times have we heard him cry wolf? So I did a little spot check, and on April 4th, one of the announcements that Sirius XM was streaming for free through May 15th, I think it was one of those things where they decided, okay, they're going to they want it to be that people can't really afford subscriptions anyway. They're out of work, so we're doing a kindness. But I think it's more along the lines of they're losing listeners. So this is they talked about how great the response was. And here's some of the Twitter replies. Nothing to be proud of, but keep up your tone deaf exploitation of the coronavirus pandemic to attempt to bring attention to Sirius XM and the Lame Stern Show. Nobody cares about you anymore, Howie. And these are there were only 436 likes on April 4th, 2020, 69 retweets. Good old Gary Puppet. Howard Stern looks like he should be in a body bag being loaded onto a refrigerated truck in the back of one of those overcrowded New York hospitals. Good God. Video cameras aren't your friend, old man. Just go away. You look like death. Hashtag eat a fucking steak once in a while. Hashtag Beth suckered you. Then you've got other people. Stern blocked me twice. Replies, I'm sure Howie didn't want to give anything away for free. He barely wants to do the show. Then a few other people. Let's see. Now North America can see how far the show has fallen.
Oh, I love this one. It says cool. So that's about what, 5 shows over 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 shows.
If you do the math, it's staggering. And this is the thing. I always said, if he really wanted to get more of a pull, I would do a shorter show and just more days a week, or record X amount of hours and then stagger them and make it more regular. Because when you're only 3 days a week and you got those vacation days and it's only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're not getting great guests. I would do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Make it the end of the week when you can get some of these fucking guests. But no way. Go ahead.
You going to do some Fridays, or are we doing Thursday, Fridays? I think that's a great idea if he just did less more often.
Yeah.
But even people in the thread, they're like, is he on next week? They have no clue. It's always hit or miss with most people. I'm, of course, like a mental patient, and I keep track of his schedule because I do this. And one of the things I've noticed is in the past 3 years, I think I've sent you my calendars. You can see he's very regular with his schedule, around holidays. It doesn't change much. This year, he changed it up on President's Day. He took off that day, but he was in on Martin Luther, where in past years, he might have taken that one off. So it's just, like you said, his schedule is so regular. If he could just give us like 2 hours and 5 days a week, that's still 10. That's not bad.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that much to say.
No, he doesn't. And I'm not going to go through the rest of that awful impression of him with the Ben and Ray thing because it's just awful. The next clip is called Kill Yourself Now Radio.
Okay.
I got my Purell.
Your Purell.
I got a bunch of pens, paper clips.
What's that? Is that a cup right next to you?
Yeah. And
okay. What are you drinking? Just your hot water?
And I have a coaster that says Howard Stern, Sirius.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
You like that?
The coaster says, I sued Sirius XM and all I got was this fucking coaster. Sorry, I don't mean to make you laugh. So that takes us out of, thank God, March 30th. So we're going to the 31st, and I want to really try to get through as much stuff as possible, guys. So forgive me if we give short shrift to clips, but we would otherwise it's a big backlog. Going into the 31st, and this is the big Adam Levine appearance, who he graciously agreed to wake up at wee hours of the morning and sing and do an interview that lasted, how long was it? The Adam Levine, I think it was about an hour and a bit, hour and a half.
Over an hour. He had him playing different riffs and stuff. So I'd go an hour and 15, maybe hour 10.
Mm-hmm. And typically, if anybody's a real hardcore fan from back in the day, they'd remember that, number one, he might even have multiple guests in a single day. So there were times where he had people in for 20 minutes, for 50, for 14. It didn't matter. Like, it depended on the guest and depended how it went. And of course, it was more ad driven back in those days when he was, getting way more money for these fucking ads anyway. But with the Jimmy Kimmel interview, not the Kimmel interview, the Jimmy Fallon interview, which is coming up, the Adam Levine interview, the Harry Styles interview that we did, the last breakdown. It's like, now it's metered. Now it's like, I put the fucking coin in the meter and I'm getting my full parking out of it. I am not leaving this spot any earlier than I have to because I have nothing of import in my mouth that's coming out. There's no value in anything I say. So the more you can crutch on whatever guest, the more he's going to do it. If he had Maury Povich on, he'd keep him for 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's just, it's filler. He's got to find something. And, it just, this day, especially, the gay projection is just off the charts.
It's off the charts. It's DEFCON fruit. And the first clip is obsessing about Adam Levine's boner. A lot of these are short.
Also, Adam Levine's going to do a couple of tunes. We're going to visit him in his home later on and see what he's up to.
Thank you, Adam, for getting up so early in the morning for us.
Yeah. Adam even said to me, you know what, if you want me to sing a few songs, talk to me first and let me warm my voice up. I understand because, he's in L.A. But if I was Adam, I'd just be banging that hot wife. He's got to bang.
Well, you're interrupting him.
Yeah, imagine he gets on, he says, you're interrupting me banging my wife twice a day. Hey, now. She's something. Bahati.
He's trying to keep up with Ronnie. He's got to keep her happy.
Go ahead.
Okay, so substitute Bahati for Howard. Now listen to everything that he says.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Adam's a much younger man. He does that yoga, hot yoga.
Oh, he does?
That keeps him going, yeah. Gets his boner nice and strong for Bahati.
Oh, listen, the other thing is, it's not just what he's saying, it's the tone. He sounds like he's lusting after him. He sounds like... Next up, we've got some cowardly projection about Trump, which I found fascinating, not because I give a fuck either way about Democrats or Republicans or libertarians and all that shit, but in the process of his projection, you're going to hear, and I know you probably heard it as well, he doesn't actually address Trump directly. It's always indirectly and say... We need leadership, you assholes, or you fuckers. He doesn't say you fucker. He's got to make it plural so it's clear he's not talking about what he wants as a potential guest in the future because he's already fucked Trump by going with Hillary. He really took a gamble. And I believe that it's just it's no different than actual singers, movie stars, whatever. He is a political fucker. He's a star fucker. He's an anything fucker. Whatever gets him more traction, he can barnacle onto. He never wants to offend. but it depends. He changed. He bends with the wind. He's a question mark. He bends in the wind. So to hear him kind of tiptoe around it, but say nasty things, but not directly accuse Trump is really cowardly. If you're gonna go at him, go at him. You can't stand in the middle of the road. You wanted to say something.
Just that's where he is. He doesn't quite lean either way, but if he's talking about things like there's a lot every day, there's some Trump mentions. Yeah. Blobbin's got her agenda, and then Howard's got his. But I think Howard is just trying to cover his tracks for the star fucking.
Absolutely.
That's, he's sweeping up his footprints behind him as he's, walking down, saying all these things. But
good
he
analogy.
has other people say them. Yeah. He's just got other people that, he can, callers, especially.
I'm
you
surprised.
get a lot of callers.
Are you surprised the sock puppets haven't made an appearance? Like him doing the sock puppets hasn't come out yet?
Oh yeah, that's asking a lot. He's pretty lazy. I don't know. He's just trying to work this new system and get it all down because they can't even keep callers on the line.
As you'll
they
hear,
can't keep guests on the line.
As you'll hear soon if we get a chance to go
into it. Asking a lot.
Okay, so we just going to play a little of the Trump stuff.
But, when I hear this guy, Cuomo, I'm in love with him. I saw a poll that 73% of New Yorkers want to bang him. And
that's the same as I have a friend. That's me. He wants to bang him.
Yeah.
That's just another one of his friends, except he's using a percentage.
Those are including
and that's men and women.
He was supposed to call us yesterday. He is so busy. We have some conversation going with his administration that he had to cancel on us today. He was possibly calling. He had to cancel again. You know why? He's so fucking busy helping. And I said, great. I love that answer. I'm too busy to come on your dumb show.
It's not too busy, and it's all bullshit. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Well, I like that at least he calls this show Dumb Show.
Yeah.
He mentioned Cuomo every day for the week before this and this week in either the facet of, he was going to come on, he's just really busy, or doesn't everybody love him? Isn't he great? And how fuckable is he? What? I've seen Cuomo. I'm fine with him as a political person, but I just don't get the sexual reference. I'm just sorry.
I think he's actually Chris. He's lusting after, not Andrew. But here's the real deal. He will lather up anybody. You'll see. You've heard over the years. When he wants someone to come in, he'll rim their asshole audibly on the show until they come in. So devoting a whole chapter to how Hillary could have won the election of his book, and you've never interviewed her. At that point, that hadn't happened. And so that was his love. That was his rolling out the red carpet for Hillary when she finally did come in, because there's no other reason for that except you want to tongue her asshole. I'm sorry, guys. It's ridiculous. But like something about the Hillary thing, you make it a little blurb in your book. You don't make a full chapter. It's retarded. I'm sorry. Shouldn't be using that word. Yeah, please.
No, it's a great point. He almost backdoor bullied her onto the show. Yeah. And then when he did get her, he took 2.5 hours with her.
Nothing but softballs.
It was all about her love relationship with Bill. Yeah. It was none of the shady stuff that was going on, or any of the mafia stuff, the Hillary mafia. So he got his way. He won, but it was a nothing interview. I didn't learn anything. It was a snore fest for me.
That's right. Next clip is called Adam Levine is so cute and bald.
Fucking happy about. Oh, there he is. Look. Oh, you in your bathrobe. You are so cute. Did you? Oh, wow. Did you shave your head for the coronavirus quarantine? Oh shit, we can't hear Adam.
Go ahead.
Shave your head for corona? Is this a thing? Did I miss it? I get it for cancer. I don't get it for corona. Come on, Howard.
That's about as stupid as he's ever been. I don't understand. Yeah, Howard, I would have turned it around on him. Howard, did you shave your head when you got the 95% cancer?
Oh, there you are.
Oh, there you are.
All right.
Hey now.
Hey now.
We have to assume that he is actually a super fan, or at least a fan, a passing fan, or was a fan when he's able to listen. None of these people listen to him religiously, or if they do, they're brainless, because I don't know how they could get entertainment out of it. Yes.
Okay, so here's a fun fact. Adam Levine went to high school with Jonah Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonah Hill is friends with Seth Rogen. And Seth Rogen and Amy Schumer. So there's this whole connection of these younger 30-something, 40-something guys in Hollywood. Well,
right.
Again, he's like the dinner for schmucks. Okay, he's the laughing joke of the industry. But it is a way for them to get out there. If they want to just play a song and say they're doing this to entertain people, it looks better for them than it does for Howard.
Okay.
So they get some press, they get some PR, they get their face out there. It's Howard, so how much are they really getting out there? But I do believe there's some kind of indentured servitude where when you're a celeb and you're in Hollywood, you have to fulfill certain obligations. And Buchwald might have these people in his pocket. He's more powerful than we know. That's all I can say without saying things I can't substantiate.
Right.
But we know that he's been around forever. He's got a huge business. His daughter's taking over. He's looking to retire. But these names and these people that are always on the show, there is David Spade, for example. They're always like performing monkeys for Howard. And you'll see with the cover songs that he gets out of them.
It's like they're sort of like rusting weapons on your wall of your castle because that's all you've got to defend yourself with. When you need them, they're there, but they're not as functional as they used to be. There was a great Jerry Lewis interview on YouTube, everybody, that was interviewed when he was doing Damn Yankees on Broadway in '95 or so. It's a 4-part interview, and it's incredible. It's a really good interview. And at one point, he mentions about back in the day there was this gossip columnist called Luella Parsons. And he explained how his agent was brilliant in handling. He said if you pissed her off, you were in trouble because she had all the dirt on everybody, and basically if you snubbed her, your career was going to be in jeopardy. So he had a thing how his agent, he missed an engagement to interview with her and stuff, and the agent said, "Look, well, I'll smooth it over." And he said, "Look, the kid was." He told her, "Look, the kid was exhausted. He lost track of time and whatever." And he basically smoothed it over. But back in the day, the golden era of Hollywood, there were people that powerful that could do this to you. Wig's got money. He doesn't have pull anymore. He has a bit of pull. He has a certain amount of it, but I think because it's so watered down now, the business, because of streaming especially, and because people are just not watching as much TV, the fact that a show that gets a 5 rating is still getting advertising is beyond. I guess it's all been adjusted accordingly. But there's because the question was posed years ago to me, why do you think he could be popular? Do you think if he was, let's say, at his peak, 95, let's say, 95 era of Howard in 2020, would he be successful? And I said, yes, because the show was entertaining at that point.
If he stayed on track and he kept the same dynamic in the studio with a comedian who could pop off good one-liners, do some impressions for him, keep things fresh, talk about topical things.
Yep. If it was fast.
Yeah. It's not that. It's geriatric radio. So he's lost that young newness. The people that are kind of out there circulating or at least watching stuff that younger folks care about. Then he might have more of an audience, more of a pool.
Yeah.
Not with Bachelorette and Dancing with the Stars.
He lost his fastball like 20 years ago, and he's been crutching on other people on the show since then. It's since maybe more than 20 years at this point. The next clip. Are you too bummed out to write music now?
Are you? I was going to ask you, are you too bummed out to write music right now, or?
This is just another one of the stupid music questions that he asks every now and then. Again, it's Chris Farleyism. There's another one. There's a next clip is called "More Adam is Sexy Talk." Plus, Wiggy talks how. Hold on, I gotta get this. The titles screwed. Wiggy talks about how he doesn't look human.
Who knows? I'm really.
He's such a sexy bastard. Like if I was in my bathrobe, you'd throw up, you know. But let me look at you for a second with the beard and the short hair. If I cut my hair that short, I would look like a gargoyle.
He's right. It's a goblin, though. Go ahead.
Let me look at you. Let me see you. Show me yourself. He's so creepy.
He is. And he mentions the Brad Pitt Fight Club bathrobe. I think that was in the previous clip and I didn't play it, but maybe it's this one. Hold on. Let's let it play out for a bit.
I'm to get another argument with you about your hair because you have and always have had fucking hair, like the good hair. It's cool. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Really, Adam? Adam, please stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't even go there.
You're
There's
embarrassing
so many other
yourself.
things you could say to that. Don't. You know better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Public service announcement.
Thank God for that, 'cause I was looking at the shot, with this Zoom camera and everything, and I'm looking at myself this morning. Oh God, this angle I'm at. I have so much neck showing that I look like a monster. So like it took me 20 minutes to arrange the camera just so I look halfway human.
Who knows? I'm really.
He's such a second.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just thinking of that Bugs Bunny cartoon with the vulture and Bugs using his finger along the Adam's apple and juggling it. Yeah, go ahead.
Great visual. It's wow. Yeah, he's shed it all.
Okay, poser projection from Wiggy about the room. I love this clip.
Like people are going to see in my house, and then I got a picture of me on Rolling Stone, and I'm like checking out the room, arranging it, so that people will think I'm like the greatest guy ever. Did you arrange your room a little bit and check out what's on that camera shot?
So, okay, he kind of admits that's what he's done. So it's not really projection technically, but he presumed it is though still because he's presuming he's asking because he thinks everybody's the same way. Look at what I got behind me. I've got to make it just so, which is not uncommon. People, if they are webcamming or broadcasting and they've got video, they do have concern what's behind them. Absolutely. Others don't, but the fact that he's got to go into it full force and say, like, I have things arranged just so, which he doesn't. It just looks like a fucking cave. It looks like there's people with duct tape behind him, and you just can't see them because it's so dark. But the impression is you're seeing something you're not supposed to see, but he has no choice because that's where he's broadcasting from. But I love that, you could just imagine Howard with this, like, K-Rock swag right behind him. Like, look at the platinum records they gave the station that I stole from Lenny Kravitz's third album or whatever. Go ahead. You wanted to say?
I was going to say it goes back to he doesn't care about his image,
right?
Yet he's caring about what we're seeing in his house. He's trying to hide his wealth. He's trying to hide his fame, his power.
Hide. Yeah. Absolutely. It's more about hiding than it is about presenting. I don't want you to see these things. Absolutely. So Adam does a JD impression that he didn't realize he was doing, dead air and songwriting time. So here's the next clip.
You know what? I wanted to tell you this, by the way. I think I've ever told you this. The two songs that I really love of yours the most.
Who the fuck cares, Howard, first of all? He did this to Robert Plant. I think my favorite Led Zeppelin track is No One Gives a Fuck. No one gives a fuck if it's in the light. No one cares. Just let them speak.
Number 1, Harder to Breathe. Number 2, what do you think I'm going to say?
Dead air.
I don't know.
Wake Up Call. Did you write those two songs?
Yes. Well.
Wake Up Call. Did you write those two songs?
Yes. Well, not entirely. Yeah, kind of. Wake Up Call.
What do you mean?
Which is it?
Does that sound like JD answering a question?
It does.
I'm just trying to look this. So it was like 100,000 years ago.
Okay, so again, it was. I think I might have cut it a little short, but basically, he's going to ask, how do you write these songs? How do you do these? It's so awful. Now there are some artists that you could ask that question to, which they've answered 1,000 times anyway. But there was one of my favorite exchanges was between Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan. And Leonard Cohen met Bob Dylan and asked him. He said, "I love whatever Positively 4th Street or whatever the fuck." So whatever song it was, how long did it take you to write it? He goes, about 9 minutes. And Bob Dylan asked Leonard about a song that he wrote. He goes, "I really love, I don't know, whatever, Bird on a Wire or something." And he goes, "How long did it take you to write that?" And he goes, 9 years. And they just kind of took it as a, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. It's not particularly interesting unless they're famous for songwriting. Adam's a performer, okay, yeah, but he writes pap. I mean, it's not like he's writing super lyrically genius stuff. So who gives a fuck how he writes a song? What's his process? Who cares?
Okay, so one, songwriting is only interesting if you have a good story or an inspiration. If you had a muse or something that inspired you to write that. But the amount of time it took you, I don't get that. That's not a parameter that I need or an information at all.
Right.
But the other thing I'd like to bring up is, okay, I'm pretty fluent in pop culture and music. I'm aware of Maroon 5. I watched them on the Super Bowl halftime last year. I don't know these songs he's mentioned. And when he asked, do you know which song? I couldn't even think of a Maroon 5 song myself. So I'm sure Adam's just like, he's head spinning off because he has no clue what like Wiggy's going to say, but he's probably scared that it's going to be like some sappy love song and Howard's just going to take the creep factor to another level while he's sitting there in his bathrobe. Him sitting there in his bathrobe is kind of creepy too. Is it just me or no?
It's just a little bit, yeah. But then I think he does talk about a little like, "Are you wearing anything underneath?" I goes, "Yeah, I got underwear, but that's it." And he was just fucking couldn't wait to fucking spank after that.
Swing.
Who's there with you?
My buddy Sam, he's helping me out. It's the
How can your buddy Sam be there? I thought you're quarantined.
Helping me out. Oh, we've been in a cell. We're hardcore. We have a cell. It's a cell. We're all together. It's like.
No, you're saying this dude lives in your house. In other words, he's not allowed to go back and forth.
Oh, fuck no. Oh no. Oh no.
Who is this guy? Is he like your Ralph? Like crazy? Like what do you mean? You got a guy who just kind of hangs with you? This guy Sam?
Sam.
Yeah, he's his guy Friday. That fascinates me too because we mentioned this yesterday when we were recording. Ralph's not there. He can't be there. Ralph is at his own place, wherever in Jersey and stuff. But being that he doesn't really have to dress up, he could wear pajamas. He could be naked at the fucking console doing his show. Wiggy, that's in this case. No one would know. No one would care. Okay, yeah, they're filming it, sure, but they won't see it. There's certain things they won't see. What does he need Ralph for in this case? Because he mentions, and Ralph does come in later on. He's asking if Adam has a Ralph, if that's what this guy's whole thing is. He's a flunky, but. Are you thinking he really misses Ralph, not just for the sexual thing, but he just to talk to and bullshit with?
Correct. He uses Ralph as someone that they can be like mean girls with and look at TV and do the laser pointer or pick apart, pause the TV and be like, "Oh, she's so fat. Can you believe she's on TV?" Or however, they're just, that's the way they are.
Yeah.
I think Adam has a young child or two.
I think at least one that they mentioned. Yeah, I think just one, but I'm
one
not sure.
For sure, maybe two or a second on the way.
Yeah.
So this guy might be helping like a nanny facility in a nanny faculty kind of way.
Yeah.
I would understand that and having, company, or if the guy lives alone, yeah, why not take him on and you bunker down by yourselves.
Yeah.
But in Wiggy's situation with Ralph, I mean, he could have bunkered with Ralph.
Yeah.
But we know how Ralph treats his places. We know how Ralph, vomits on the sheets and then ends up breaking the washing machine with them. So
right. You might wake up with a straight Chewbacca doll up your ass if you're at Ralph's when you're sleeping in his bed. Next clip, projection about reading online criticism.
Does it freak you out? Like, do you ever go on the internet after a show and you shouldn't do this, but like once in a while you do it, and then if somebody writes, "Hey, I went to Maroon 5. It was okay, but Adam's voice wasn't that good, or it changed." Or do you ever read that shit and then it blows your mind?
That is just, to me, proof positive that we know he goes on and, first of all, we know he sets Google alerts to himself. So does Beefus, but we know that he's reading the criticism. We know that he must be. He has to be. Agreed?
Totally, 112%. So, okay. Hi, Howard. How you doing?
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Listen, I've been with you for 32 years, and I'm doing my best here, but this is all I've got. So, show me what you've got. Change it up, please. Do something. Yeah. Help us, because what you're doing isn't cutting it. We need different, and I'm just putting it out there for you, buddy. I love you, but I just can't relate, and I need you to step it up. Stop. Just stop. Okay.
This really is like an encounter group. These next two clips were AGT projection. He did this with Harry Styles, and I knew anytime you got a musical person in and there's some kind of Simon Cowell type thing he can crowbar in. Like if he was interviewing Hillary Clinton, he'd ask her about fucking Simon Cowell. That's how bad. If he was interviewing Pope John Paul, he would try to ask him about Simon Cowell, just in an attempt to make sure he can talk shit about him. So here's clip one.
I was thinking about you.
No, are you suggesting that there's showbiz bullshit attached to my answers?
Well, we're going to find out in a minute, because I'm going to be totally honest when I ask you this question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You left The Voice. The season 18 now is considered to be the lowest rated opener to date. In other words, you left, the show went down 16%. It had 9 million total viewers. That's down 16% over the year.
Now, hold on for a minute. No one obsesses about, like, that's a stat Wiggy definitely made it a point to go out and look up. No one handed that to him. He didn't direct someone, find this information for me. He went out and actively sought that. Do you think for a second he didn't know exactly how well AGT did when he left, hence why it was just a goof? Meanwhile, he spent all of 2012 from May onward talking it up about how I signed this contract and I'm going to be the fucking America's judge and all this shit. You can't have it both ways, dude, and it's recorded. We know you're full of shit. We know it. Everybody knows it. You're a failure. That has stuck in his craw since forever, and it's still in his craw. 2020, so 5 years since he's been let go from the show, and he's still got it up his ass about the fact that he was a miserable failure on network television. Please.
Well, that's why we have fake Simon Cowell every week, multiple times, some weeks. Yep. It's his passive aggressive way, and fake Simon is written by back office. There's some great digs. So I love mining for those, but other than that, I mean, it's just that he's a wife stealer.
But Seinfeld isn't. A
horrible human being. He has no talent. Okay, but he kind of does have talent. He's a talent finder, and that's what he did. He found One Direction. He put them together and made tons off of them. He's found other acts too. I'm not a fan of Simon. I just know that he's successful in what he does.
Absolutely.
So he really doesn't have a right to be mocking him the way he does.
No, especially when Simon took over, like came back in on a show that he owned. Like that's the thing that people are forgetting. Wig was Simon's employee, not the other way around. And he will never let you never let you get that out there. So we'll keep going with the clip.
Nick Jonas joined. You left. The show ratings went considerably down. Now, when I left America's Got Talent, I knew the ratings wouldn't go down because that show, it's really not judge driven. You know what I mean? It's not sort of really about the judges. That show could always just do well on its own. It doesn't.
He knew they wouldn't go down. Not only did they not go down, they improved drastically. I think there was an increase of 4 or 5 million once he left. The following season finale was, I think, their highest rated or one of their highest rated when Simon came back that year. That's how much. That's how good they rebounded.
They went from 8 million to 12 million viewers. I'm pretty sure. I don't know why those numbers sticking.
I think it was something like 9.8 to 14.8 or something like that. It was literally a 5 million viewership jump, and they went back to LA where they wanted to film where they always wanted to film, and they didn't have to pay his bullshit salary. And so Simon absorbed part of that money, which, and made that they produced the show for cheaper, and it was way easier. Filming in New York is a big ball ache for any movie, TV show, whatever, because of unions, just labor costs and stuff, and rental fees and shit like that, and everything, craft services. It's all more expensive in New York in general. So to acquiesce to that demand for that fucking idiot to have your ratings go down, and then suddenly to move across the country back to where it originally was, get better ratings, save money. It's like a triple hit to his ego, and he can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Still can't.
The power.
Yeah.
That's the power of Buchwald.
Yeah. And also guaranteed contracts. So it was like they couldn't even fire him performance based until the contract ran out, which is why when they just let him go, they didn't re-sign him. So he'll never let you know that either. But
it fine, and then this one comes in and that does fine.
Even Hasselhoff.
He was the original judge. Yeah,
he was the best judge actually. He just he was the Hoff. But what he's saying to you, and I want an honest answer. I don't want any horseshit.
All right. I know where you're going with this. Hurry up.
Isn't there some joy? And stop it. If you give me horseshit, isn't there some joy? I would have loved to have read when I left that it went down 16%. Didn't you look at that number and go, ha?
Okay.
See, there you go. Go ahead.
Truer words, truer projections you've never seen. I mean, this is the heart of what he feels and what he sees.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a mean old man.
Yeah, bitter old man, bitter old failure.
Okay, well, you might like this answer, but I had no fucking idea about any numbers, about anything at all.
You're learning this for the first time from me.
This is an exclusive, hot off the presses tidbit of information that you're giving me.
I don't believe it. I don't believe what you're saying right now.
It's not. It's not. He doesn't believe it. He doesn't want to believe it. He wants everything to be the way he perceives it. He wants Adam to be bitter and fucking jealous. And when you hear the Tom Brady interview, if we get to it, hopefully we will, you'll hear nothing more than that. A better example you'll not hear of projection. So this is a projection part 2. Oh, sorry. Okay. I don't want to rename it. Go ahead.
People.
Aren't you allowed to have, you saw him so much now. But isn't there an ego kind of boost in knowing the show is not doing as well, that no matter what, that you had that kind of impact? I mean, come on.
I know that you really want there to be, so yes. I will try my best to make that happen.
Why is that important to me and not important to you? Do you think you're just healthier mentally than I am? I think you are.
I think maybe a little bit. I mean, not much, but maybe slightly. No, look. Secretly, does everybody harbor that desire, like deep down? Of course, on some level. However, no, I don't wish failure for a show that doesn't have me on it. I wish a show success. I don't want the show to go downhill. And by the way, I actually also believe that the biggest reason for the drop off on The Voice is definitely not me, and it's the fact that people watch TV more and more. People don't fuck with TV like nearly as much as they did when The Voice started.
See, like that's a perfectly rational, logical human being who's connected to himself would answer. I have no issue with Adam's answer. It was perfect, actually, and it was classy, it was tasteful, and Howard not being able to understand that someone doesn't wish ill on someone else. Like it's almost like everything with him is a bad fucking breakup. Like you've been dropped by some bitch. And you got to get back. And now sometimes breakups are bad, and you do wish ill on people. I'm not above that, but with him, it's every fucking broken connection. Please, Raven.
Adam's a great diplomat, and I think that's the heart of his charm. He knows how to talk to people. He sounds intelligent. He sounds heartwarming. He sounds human, and on top of that, he's talented. He's good looking. He's got all these things going for him.
And he's successful.
I've got no complaints with him. None.
Yeah. Even if you don't like the music, you can't detract. I'm like this with just about any successful person. I can't take away from a person's success, no matter how much I'd like to. Whether it's talk about the fans are idiots or something like that. How can you like this? You can't. What's the expression? Nothing succeeds like success. Nothing. If something is incredibly successful, you can argue with the merits, but you can't argue with the numbers. If people really love something, they love it, and it's irrefutable at that point. Next clip is called Regimented Lifestyle Projection. I know this one's short.
So what will you do now? Will you play the guitar every single day and sit down at the same time? Will you be organized and like at 9 a.m. I get up, I go into a studio somewhere, I close the door, and I'm going to take out my guitar. I'm going to strum on it until I fucking hit another song that I love.
That's a machine asking a computer's answer, like asking for a computer answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, Howard would have done well in the Army, I think, because he is that regimented. Other than he couldn't have performed one single physical task or mental task. But as far as waking up, eating, and then laying around napping, like he keeps that Army lifestyle where everything is right on time, dinner and his shows and everything. So, what can you imagine living with something like that? Honestly, no, there's no wiggle room with him.
No, and did you say there's no wiggle room?
Wiggle.
No pun intended, folks. Well, he'd be great in the Army if he had someone else doing the chin-ups and doing his hot bed and fucking doing a bivouac and all this horse shit and marching and doing the cadence and stuff. He really has become his parents. He's become the sum total of both of his parents. And I know from personal experience, my wife likes things a certain way, absolutely. And it's not really it's a psychological thing. She does get upset, like dirt. She hates dirt. She hates anything that's not clean to her satisfaction. And my 85% effectiveness is not good enough. That's just something that's ingrained to her from years of her parents like drilling it into the kids. And I didn't have that. So I understand that aspect of it. But the idea that he has to have oatmeal in the morning or this, and now it's Metamucil or whatever the fuck. And that it can't be. He's like that guy that goes to the Chinese restaurant and orders the same dish every time because that's the only one he ever had, and that'll be fine. Doesn't want to vary the thing whatsoever because God only knows what he could get if he does change things up. And then when change is forced upon him and he likes it, that's the only way that's going to happen. It'll have to be, his hand will have to be forced.
Right. If there's an influence on him, somebody that he looks up to, some man of some sort.
Yep. With
you should try this, or Peloton's great.
Yeah.
What's the rowing machine? I don't even know.
Those
are the things. Packing a go bag.
Yeah.
Hey, great idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He is the sum total of everything everybody's told him. That's pretty much it. Next clip. Greenstein proves that Wig is a moron.
Well, Scott Greenstein, who is one of the guys, he's the head programming guy here. You know Scott. He said to me for years, I want you to put microphones in your house, and you've got to be ready if anything ever goes on. And I'd say, Scott, I'm coming into work. I'm not looking to, and he was right. I should have done it. I didn't do it. I feel like a fucking douchebag.
Well, he is a douchebag and he is a moron, and anybody that had any kind of brains would have done this when they first did Sirius. I mean, I just don't understand why he wouldn't have a setup like I have even. I mean, it's basically because he didn't care enough about the work anyway. Please go ahead.
Again, it's the lazy zookeeper. It's shocking because if he really would have thought it through, he could have been doing shows from his home. He wouldn't have had to come in on bad weather days, on any kind of days when he's a little bit under the weather, which to him is just a sniffle, is he's falling apart. But this just goes to show, this was talked about in 2006, having ISDN lines in the home. He's got 3 homes. Put one in each. Okay, I don't want to hear about it.
Do you have a ton of guitars there? Like, what kind of gear do you have? How many guitars do you own?
That is so high school. Like, how many axes do you own, dude? Yeah, what's your amp? What kind of amp do you have? Is it a tube amp? Clip 16. Poser Wiggy talks about his wall-mounted guitars. These are all the swag that people gave him and guests have.
Have you got a guitar? Yeah, we'll just hand one over.
You want to know something? I'm in my basement. Adam, behind me, I have about 15 or 20 guitars hanging on the wall in my basement. You've never been to my house. One signed by Eddie Van Halen, one signed by Leslie West, another one signed by Slash. They all gave me gifts of guitars, and I hung them on a wall because they're so beautiful. I love looking at the guitar. I just think electric guitars are just so kind of fucking cool looking. Greatest. And I have another one signed by Metallica, and and I look at him, I go, I'm a douche because I can't play any of these. What am I doing with this? But
he just can't. He's actually, I like the fact that he mentions he is an idiot for having these up, but he still has them up.
Right. Are we talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like hallway of guitars in this basement museum of his?
I think we're talking about the bowling.
Picturing next to the
bowling alley.
Are they lining the bowling alley? I really want to know these things. I don't know. He's an idiot.
Was it Architectural Digest? Was it Architectural Digest that had that and the clips? Because they had those are the pictures that they didn't want out there, but they were the bowling alley and the the K-Rock swag on the walls. And yeah, he must have, instead of warehousing them or giving them to his daughters and stuff like that, which is what I would do in that case. Like the Paul McCartney signed guitar. Okay, it's a Paul McCartney guitar, but it's a new guitar, big shit. Give it to your daughter. She'd love to have that. Give it to, or sell it, if you really don't want it around. No, he wants people to see that famous shit. Go ahead.
He wants them to see it, and there might be marbles that they're worth.
Yes.
He's not giving that away.
No.
He's not going to bequeath that to anybody. That's going to be
buried with him.
Certified, valid autograph, buried with him. Maybe, yeah. Oh my God, could you imagine?
Oh my God. That's why hence the mausoleum.
He's just a waste of things. Things like that are just wasted on him.
Yeah. It's clip 17. Brad Pitt lust.
Can I win that bathrobe you're wearing? Is that the bathrobe from that Brad Pitt wore in Fight Club?
It's not
bingo.
That he wore in Fight Club, but it's yes.
Brad Pitt mentioned bingo.
Bingo. Mark your cards.
Yeah.
He's like almost the center square.
Yeah, he's like the Paul Lynde of Howard's bingo.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
When Howard's the Paul Lynde.
My wife got it for me for some birthday.
Because I heard some guy bought it for $15,000, and I would say I think that's the bathrobe that Brad Pitt wore in Fight Club, and Adam paid $15,000 for it.
I paid about $200 for it.
Right.
It's like it's a found cheap. I found it online.
Okay, Adam's downplaying this fucking robe. Howard knows everything about it. Would probably lick it clean if it was really bad. The original bathrobe. He would insist that it not be washed. He'd be flossing with Brad's pubic hairs at this point. I mean, let's be honest. The Brad Pitt thing will always ever be like, look, Brad Pitt. Yeah, he's according to every other woman on the planet, he's the hottest guy at one point. But now he's getting a little older. Brad Pitt is not the guy they talk about.
No, that don't matter. That's fine.
No?
I'll speak for the ladies. He's a perfect specimen. Always has been.
Okay.
I see no signs of him trailing off, and I can't wait to watch his new movie. Haven't had a chance yet.
There you go.
He is so damn lovable. I wish Sam was here to confirm this, but I know Josie, Kayla, and Cindy in the live thread all love the bare-chested picture from Fight Club that I posted of Brad. So there.
Okay.
Sorry,
okay.
guys.
Fair enough.
I get it. He's just one of those special cases. But for Wiggy to go on and on about it, I mean, it's up there with the Pretty Woman mention. We'll just have to take it for what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Brad Pitt lust. Next clip, frothing over teacher fucking Adam scenario, which I found incredibly cringeworthy and fascinating at the same time. Is that possible? To be disgusted and to be sort of listening to a clip over and over again because it was so telling. Go ahead.
I just want everybody to buckle in. This is going to be a tough one. This is one of those ones where, we're really pushing the limits here.
Oh, yes.
I typed this and I don't know how I type. I think I go on autopilot sometimes and I just become a stenographer because if I stopped and actually listened to what he said, I would rip my earphones out and I'd just walk outside and start hyperventilating with fresh air because this gets to be so bad. Oh.
Yeah, and all of those people who think it's just Jewish comedy, honestly, this is not humor.
I had this whole fantasy life built up for you. Like, you had a guitar teacher, she tried to fuck you. Your teachers in high school tried to fuck you. Like, people were constantly trying to fuck you.
You have such a warped idea of that. That's not the case.
Okay, so already, that's just 15 seconds, guys. Clip number 19, projection about revenge on girls from the past.
What I'm saying is, I find that the greatest thing about fame. It must have been such a charge. Did you date that girl for a while, and then all of a sudden, she's probably so aware of your career, and I dated that guy, and she'd probably be like, oh, fuck, I wish I could have married him or something. You know what I mean?
Okay, so that's really him. Okay, when it's just projection about getting more revenge on people, this vindictiveness that happens retroactively, after the fact. It's never, fuck you, I got it out of my system. It's never out of his system. It's like poison. It just coagulates. It never coagulates. It's always coursing through his fucking veins, like shitty whiskey. Go, please. What have you got to say?
Okay, I got a little too rushed on that. That wasn't the clip to be worried about.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
It is coming up.
I jumped the gun on this one, but
you can.
Wow, you guys, just please listen to the projection. This revenge theory, or how great it must be to be him, and the narcissism that is oozing out of this man. That's it. Yeah. I'm going to stay buckled in because it's still bad.
Yeah, buckle in and strap on the faggot boots because it's going to get muddy. I
don't know.
See, that's how I thought songwriting worked. I thought, you guys are... This is what I think about songwriters. I think you're guys who are, really in touch with your emotions and how you're feeling every single second. And therefore, a song comes out. I mean, when John Lennon wrote about his mother, mother, and it was this deep, raw emotion. So I figured you're constantly in touch with your emotions.
I love it when he throws in a song, starts to sing, and gets 2 words and is lost. He doesn't actually know the lyrics, and he claims to be a John Lennon fan. So we're going to go into the faggotry again. Now he goes in. Now this is where he's visualizing himself as Adam's wife, who I honestly I don't even know. I don't know enough about Adam to know what she looks like. I didn't know her name, and now I do. I wish I'd never heard he got married because it begat this. Please.
Her name is Bahati Prinsloo. She's Victoria's Secret supermodel.
Is she East Indian?
She looks Eastern European to me. I honestly don't know. She might be South African.
Okay.
I look it up. I'll get back to you.
I'm sure she's hot as shit. I mean, he's a good looking guy.
She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful lady.
Yeah.
Adam did well.
So visualizing himself as her. Okay. This is one, again, Bob, I hope you're listening to this and I hope you're taking notes, and we'll save these clips for you and we'll play them 100 times if you want on the psychological profile show we got planned. But what in God's name, why would, I don't know, just listen and judge for yourself, folks.
Would you do me a favor? Would you pretend that I am Bahati? I'm sitting here, I'm going to be honest with you, it's hot in the garage, I'm wearing a bra top. And I only have panties on. I'm being honest.
Can you go a little slower? Just talk about it.
You have underwear on under that robe?
I do. That's all I have on, though.
Oh my God. So wait a second. You're in your garage. Bahati is. I'm Bahati. I'm sitting there. Yes. And then
is she just sitting or is she dancing?
I'm sitting.
Okay, I just have to clean the vomit out of my mouth for a second.
Whoa, I gotta get a bottle of sanitizer quick. God, how can you listen to this and not see what is going on here?
When I was a kid and my ears were there was just too much wax buildup, my parents would heat up olive oil and put olive oil drops and then it would melt the wax and they would just Q-tip it out. I mean, I'm sure Italian parents did the same thing to any listeners out there. But this is one case where I wish the wax stayed fully in and increased in size, so I couldn't actually hear this crap. And it continues. Next clip.
Can you make these bigger, dude? I don't know. Are you horrible at computers? I just honestly.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm telling you, it's a disaster. And by the way,
Adam, don't interrupt his fantasy, shithead. You let Wig get his creaming done.
While you're looking for the lyrics, I'll describe again what I'm doing as Bahati because you're going to play to me.
Okay.
And by the way, I just fully shaved everything. Just so you know, everything is gone. All my hair.
She's bald.
She's bald. Just so you know.
I like it. Now I have to think about that when I
think about me sitting there.
Okay, guys. Like honestly, if you've turned off the podcast already, we apologize. But if you haven't, you already, you will now. Just 1 sec.
You leave it alone. You know what? You're doing just fine. I should only look like you. All right, so I'm Bahati. We're in the garage. I'm bathed. I'm moisturized. I've completely shaven for you. And I'm sitting here listening to my husband.
Gross.
Yes. I love you, Adam. Thank you.
Yes, Adam. Okay, there's the only human left on the show is the guy calling in. And Robin's always along for the ride, isn't she? Let's delve into this just for a little divergence for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Are you on boat with this? Are you on the same path as us? Me and Sam both think she knows, everybody on the show knows he's a fruit.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
She's known for a long time. She plays along, but she loves calling him out on it. And she loves catching him and saying stuff. And he's like, she'll ask him, she'll be like, well, who said that? Was that gay Howard? Was that fake Howard or real Howard? Howard in the future or,
Right.
And she definitely, she knows how to tread water with him though. She's got a good idea of how she's going to talk to him and get the things out of him or get the digs in at him is what I'm trying to say.
So he does play a serviceable cover of "In Your Eyes" on guitar, which is just him playing, and which is a song with a lot of you do need a lot of instruments to make that give that justice. But anyway, the next clip is Wiggy goes balls deep.
It's weird. As you were doing that, I'm thinking I stopped being Bahati for a minute because first of all, I was squirting all over the couch. It was crazy. But here's the thing. While you were doing that, I'm thinking about this reality we're in now. It's so weird. Normally, you'd be here with me in the studio. We'd have everything tricked out, the sound. It was like it brought it all home to me with this coronavirus. Like we're sitting here over Zoom and you're playing and everything, and it sounds eerie, like we're in the fucking apocalypse. You know what I mean?
So, this is Wig. This is Wig's Heart of Darkness, and the idea that there's at one point, I think it might be in the later clips, and I will play it when we're supposed to play it. So, but I'll talk about it now. He says something about it's so different now when you're on Zoom and you can't really make eye contact and you can't get that connection. I'm thinking you can't get that eye contact through your sunglasses, through a bank of monitors, and the microphone in front of you. The guy's 10 feet away from you. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about when he goes on about eye contact. Does he really believe he connects with people ever when they're in that studio, when he's asking the same questions over and over again and getting the same answers from people that don't see things the way he does? But I guess that's the part of narcissism. You're not actually listening to the response.
No, he's not. A lot of people have trouble making eye contact with him. I know Harry Styles did. He was, sitting there on a stool right in front of him and singing, and he was singing to the ground because he just couldn't look at Grandpa behind the mic.
Well, if he made eye contact, he'd lose his eyes behind his head because crazy eyes, man. It's something else with him. And there was something we were going to discuss it. Sam and I were going to do a show on the Serious Mole, the Reddit rumors, and one of them was about the TV guys said the crazy eyes thing was addressed, and they said whenever they had a chance, according to the source, the Mole, They tried to cover it up with edits whenever they could, but sometimes it was impossible because because Howard was talking. So you had to have the camera on him. And so sunglasses, no sunglasses, there's nothing you can do. Post-production, you have to spend $1 million on animation to make his eyes normal in that situation, and you couldn't. So they had to put up with it. That's all they could do with it because he was going like, yeah, it was nuts. Anyway, next clip. Discussing Tommy Lee's hog with Andy Cohen, who talks about it later, and who tested positive, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you got it.
Yep. So,
Tommy Lee's penis was insanely huge, and Pam took it like a champ.
Incredible.
Pam would get that thing right in her mouth and go to town. I love that girl, and I love Tommy. It's just fantastic. Andy,
boy, don't we know? The next clip, Andy asks about Wiggy's weekly shrink calls. Did you want to say something about the Tommy Lee hog?
I don't think I really have to at this point. I mean, he lost me at squirting on the couch during Adam. So
you're still in the recovery position.
Yes, I'm in the fetal position right now.
Okay. Andy asks about Wiggy's weekly shrink calls.
Howard, how many days a week are you doing phone sessions with your therapist at this point?
Twice.
You haven't upped it?
No, I haven't upped it, but
and
today will be a big day.
Don't feel any inclination to do that?
Well, you know what? Last week I was like, I don't need psychiatry. We're in the middle of a pandemic, blah, 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 blah. I got on the phone with the psychiatrist. He helped me so much with even just relaxing about these broadcasts and everything else, and God bless him. I need all the help I can get.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I can't even, folks. 23 years of analysis, not therapy, analysis, psychoanalysis, not, and again, we'll go deeper into that one with that special podcast we're talking about, but that must be the most well-heeled psychiatrist on the planet. He must be driving Lexuses on top of Lamborghinis, on top of Porsches, on top of fucking Ferraris with the money he's made from Stern. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the therapist is running around with Leonardo DiCaprio on their yachts. They're competing for who's got the better yachts.
Maybe he's doing yacht measurement, dick measuring with Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I would think he's about that level by now, but earlier he was complaining to his therapist about his mom. Mm-hmm. Now he's complaining about the show. So he's still dancing around Beefus. He's not complaining about. Wouldn't it be normal to complain a little bit about your spouse and like how you're trying to get along during this? I would accept that as more human than what he's bragging about.
Yeah. The last little clip is called Dick Pic with Andy. And there was something, I'll play it, but there was something about John Mayer that I skipped over because in the next show, Michael Rappaport or John Mayer got back to him because Wiggy wrote a note. What was the exact quote?
He dropped a comma.
So it said, I don't have it on me, but do you have it? Do you know it offhand?
I just heard it yesterday, and it goes something like, John, thanks for doing my show. Hold on. It was, thanks so much for coming and performing at my show.
Most people
Everybody enjoyed it. Most of all the fans. But he didn't put a comma. So he was like, most of the fans enjoyed it. But if Howard would have written it, most of all, comma, the fans really enjoyed it.
That's right. Punctuation is
important. But he didn't.
Everybody.
So it's John Mayer really stretched this a bit, but he did call him out some bad grammar, which I'll get. Yeah. Wiggy said, thank you for doing my show. Most of the fans loved it.
Yeah.
And he meant to say most of all.
Well, this is 79 writing, and this takes you into his note writing. God, I'd love to read some of the other notes he's sent people and how they. If he keeps it short, he's lucky. But if he tries something a little like a slight not a run-on sentence, but a compound sentence, he's got problems. So to just stick with what you know, Wiggy. Just say thanks for everything, whatever, something really basic. So let's go into.
I would like to plug that your audience is always so generous in DMing me dick pics, and it's a quarantine, so fill up my inbox, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Let me ask you a question about that. In other words, you're inquiring whether the audience would send you more dick pics as a man.
In other words, he didn't. There's no other words needed. Shithead. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
What a creep.
Yeah.
I remember back when Andy Cohen went on a date with Chris Wilding.
Okay.
And Andy got so drunk and so wound up on alcohol and whatever else may have been in that evening. He claims he didn't eat.
Yep.
And he comes off so badly sometimes.
Yes.
The way he presents himself. I mean, this is a father. He's a new father.
Yeah.
And he allegedly was just sick with corona, and now he wants us to send him dick pics.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it gets worse. But
yeah.
By the way, fun fact, Chris Wilding purported to the show that he didn't believe Andy was really sick. He thinks he faked corona just to get away from his kid, which plays right into Wiggy's, wheelhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been creeped out by Andy Cohen because he just, first of all, I find him flatly unlikable. And I struggle to understand why certain people like Anderson Cooper are friends with him. Just because he's gay doesn't mean he's a likable person. It doesn't mean if you're part of the club, it means you put up with every single person because they take it up the ass, and you do too. But he's excessively creepy in the worst way. Not like Ronnie. Ronnie's creepy for the show. Like they creep him out. They sort of pimp him up, his creepiness. But with Andy, it seems like organically creepy in a not nice way. And it sounds to me like if he really got fucked up, he would be an abusive drunk like Paul Lynde. He would be, or like Johnny Carson, like a really nasty son of a bitch. And I think that comes out even when he's straight, like very bitchy, very catty, like a guy like Kathy Griffin, basically. But anyway,
I see him as the guy who's going to play the "Don't you know who I am" card.
Oh yes,
any chance he gets. Yeah,
yep, I think so.
Just...
And if it wouldn't surprise me if there was a Me Too thing with Andy Cohen in the very near future, that derails his career as well, because he seems to be. I have no inside knowledge, but it just seems like that's the path, that's the progression that's going to follow from just the way he comes off. It's just my impression. I don't know. I could be way off, but
well, stay tuned. We'll see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, thank God, everybody, we are into April 1st, April Fool's Day. And boy, we are the fools because we're covering this horse shit. But Jimmy Kimmel comes in, and this might be where we wrap the whole thing up today because we're going on 2 hours now. But we'll try our best. There's loads of audio dropouts here, and then a lot of gayness, a lot of everything you can imagine. And the dropouts are staggering. So anytime we play a clip and you hear like there's nothingness, that ain't us, I promise. So bear with us, folks. Audio dropout during earbuds discussion.
Oh, it's hot. It's burn my mouth. Dry oatmeal. I need...
What? Oh.
On it. Where you could just put them in your ear and like they'd be Bluetooth or something.
Right. So that little break there where she kind of Robin goes, oh, like that. Clear. There's a dropout. It's not an audible like fade out, or it just dropped suddenly, and you just because he was talking. There absolutely was talking, and it's dead air. It's completely dead air. I love it. It just gets more train wreck radio as the week progresses. Yes, Raven.
At first, they were something for us to comment on, but now it's just so normalized, and there's so many of them. I don't even know if it's worth commenting. I wish there was some. I just put up a picture of headphones or something, or a big X.
Yeah.
And just tell people like, yeah, we just blanked out there. We're dropping audio left and right.
Yeah, absolutely. Next clip is called "Know When to Lay Down and Die." Wiggy plus Beth gave me sex. Anybody buy this? Not me, and I'm sure you won't either.
And I got to address that. You know what it is? I get done with the show and I'm so tired. Yesterday
you don't bother with anything that was bothering you before.
No, and I leave here and I'm just exhausted and I'm like, oh fuck.
Okay, I almost can't even. It's a 2-minute clip. I don't even know that I want to go through it all, but I'm going to do my best. What is he fucking exhausted about? What is he exhausted about?
It's just life. Life is exhausting for this man. Walking down or taking the elevator to the dungeon, that's exhausting. having to come up with a thought to talk about, that's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
When you're a deal, it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and move coffee makers. And I don't know. Like after the show, I'm useless and I'm angry.
He's useless.
My head is pounding.
Incidentally, folks, he's useless before, during, and after the show. Raven, yes.
Well, him being angry and useless is the perfect excuse not to have to do anything with Beefus. It gives him a chance to go meditate, which is what he does after every show, which is translation, a nap. So being angry, being worn out, being flustered, that's what he says to her. I believe that. That's a truth. Just so it gets him out of doing anything. Anything at all. Then he's got to be hungry, and then he'll need another nap. And then before you know it, it's Peloton time or dinner time. So yeah, that's what she's up against. She's fighting a good battle there.
Yeah, and we know from the Ablo walkthrough that basically the passive aggressiveness that comes out of him when you don't do what he wants or when he doesn't get his way is less preferable to somebody like Beth than just going the easy route and saying, okay, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. It's just easier to get through life that way, and then you don't have to hear him once you've done the thing. Let's keep going.
You know, I'm getting older. I'm cranky.
I don't know what your head is pounding about. You get headaches every day?
Not a headache. It's just my ears hurt. Everything from riding my headphones hot. Everything just feels out of whack. And I go upstairs, and I'm angry for about 15 minutes, and I make oatmeal with a banana, and that calms me down like a baby. You know what I mean?
Right. You're just hungry.
I'm hungry, yeah. And the guys feed me during the show when we have the show in New York.
Right.
You know, and here nobody feeds me. Like Beth said she'd bring food to me, but I can't bother Beth anymore.
No, she's doing enough.
I mean, because she gets into bed, she looks like she's zonked out on drugs.
Having to fucking cater to this stork, this gormless fucking stork. I don't know why she hasn't fucking poisoned him or come up with some elaborate plan to just off him in the interim and like take whatever settlement she gets. I couldn't put up with it. Not for $100 million a year.
You give her way too much credit there. You give her way too many IQ points. Okay?
I guess
she's not capable of doing that.
So hold on. Do you believe
she's a robot?
Do you believe she's medicating herself through these things? Because she has to be on some kind of opiate and then the wine, yes, for sure. But wine and pills, basically, that's her diet.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I think there's some Adderall. I think there might be some speed or some Coke, something. There's definitely some pills. And then like if she can't fall asleep, she might balance it out with a Xanax or some other prescription that they have laying around. And who knows? I'm sure there's medication for the cats. She's, probably looked at in a drunken state or two and maybe considered using some of the cat meds. Who knows?
Well, they slipped it into a wiener so she wasn't aware. I think. What about let's give her an example. The Ellen appearance, that last one she did where they claimed it was Red Bull. You think she was not necessarily coked up, but on some Adderall, some speed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, some upper.
Yeah, because there's no naturally peppy person like that since Richard Simmons, who was colorful.
Because she's so exhausted from cleaning and keeping the house nice and. And I'm cranky from doing the radio show. Everyone, it's just weird. And then I woke up at 3:00 this morning complete. I'm like, I can't be up at 3:00. I'm going to be cranky for the show. And
that's his entire show. The next clip is called, okay, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Just a thought. Yesterday, Adam was in. So there's a good chance if he didn't have sex with her, that he had sex with himself. To the thought of Adam.
I'd say that's more. I'd say that's more likely the case.
But then Beth woke up and then gave me sex, and that knocked me right out.
But she's exhausted. The conflicting message. She's exhausted, but she woke up and gave you sex. No, sorry, not buying it. No. Yep.
Not even sleeping in the same like hallway.
No way.
I don't believe that either.
I think she's disgusted by him most days and says, I want to sleep in my own bed. And they're used to it. If she lives by herself most of the week, you get kind of used to having your own bed and not have to, and I know a lot of married couples where they actually do sleep apart as they got older because snoring or whatever issues, and it just made things more convenient that way. And when they wanted to do something, they did it, but they slept in their own beds. I find it not it's not common, but it's not odd to me because I snore like a motherfucker. I snore like it sounds like I don't know, orcas communicating underwater. And then my wife, she's got a bad snore, but I could sleep through anything. The difference is she's a light sleeper and I'm a heavy sleeper, and that can cause problems. And sometimes I've taken to, if I know I'm congested and nothing's curing it, the Otriven doesn't work, I sleep on the sofa, and then she has the bed to herself, and I have no problems like that. I can sleep on a fucking hand grenade, but it's but in this case, that's not we're talking about. They hate, like he doesn't want to be around the beard. She doesn't want to be around the wallet. Go ahead.
And she could be down in, I don't even know what to call it, Cat City with cats and passing out after takes like 10,000 Instagram pictures to post for the next day. She might be sleeping on cat beds for all we know.
Could be. Yeah. Well, why don't we henceforth call it Kitty City?
Kitty City. Got it.
Okay. Next one. Dedicated Wiggy tells fans to go fuck themselves if he gets sick.
Chris Cuomo tested positive for the coronavirus.
I know.
And what a trooper this guy is. He's on CNN he's doing his show for Sirius XM, and he's doing his show for CNN, and he's got the coronavirus. I'm pretty impressed.
He's got a mild case, Howard.
Well, whatever he's got to be. You think I'm going to be on this microphone if I get coronavirus? You go fuck yourself. I don't mean you. I mean all of you. All y'all. I'm going to come down to my basement and broadcast.
Yeah, you wanted to say?
Just, he's saying this to paying listeners. He's saying this to an audience that puts out their good hard-earned money. And he's telling us his real thought there. That's a true projection. It's a real glimpse inside of how he feels about his fans, about anybody.
Right.
Zero fucks given by him about anybody but him.
That's correct. That's correct. And 10 years ago, I think it's actually 10 years ago minus a few months, that I piss on my fans, the famous I piss on my fans rant. And then, so 10 years on, he just clearly doesn't want to be there. And hence, going through these things for gems like that, it's not entertaining, but it is fascinating to hear this sort of meltdown of and this complete admission of apathy and lack of effort expended, and utter lack of concern whether or not he has a customer or not. Like, that's just, anyway. Then he goes on about calling it an air purifier a humidifier. I found this funny.
And I got a couple of those things you told me to order.
Yeah, they work.
The humidifier or something. You told me it kills all the viruses.
It's an air cleaner.
He's a fucking idiot. He would know if you showed him, like, I don't know, Pac-Man, a stand-up Pac-Man, he'd call that like a dehumidifier or something. He just I mean, and if you live if you live in New York, you've got the ocean on one side, and I don't know whatever lakes are in New York State, but if you live by the water, you know about humidity in the summertime, and you know about dryness in the winter, and blah blah blah. And you learn as you get older. You start learning. Your throat tells you what the weather's like. Pretty much, it's like it's like a barometer. And air purifiers, I don't know about anybody else, I love them actually. In certain parts of the world where you live, like where I live, they're kind of necessary in some ways. And the idea that him or Beth wouldn't know enough to know what the fucking machine was that you're using to make your life better just astounds me. The next clip, he talks shit about other shows' sound quality. Boy, this is flying close to the sun. And there's a cock mention about Ryan Seacrest.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I do. Look, the Olympics, no, but I think Ryan could do an excellent jog if that's what the two of you are asking in your underwear there.
Yes, that's what we're asking. On tomorrow's show, we're going to ask an expert, does he think Ryan Seacrest could suck his own dick?
Yeah, I do. I do think so. I think he has a very nice long shaft. Yeah, I believe he can probably
he's limber enough.
Yeah, I think if his balls were hanging right on his nose, he probably could lick his own penis. Yeah, I do.
I have a question for you, Raven, and maybe you can answer it. What do you think's stronger for Wig? His hatred and jealousy of Ryan Seacrest, or his lust for him and his wish that he could be living his life?
He wants the youth. He wants the youth factor that Ryan has. He wants the marbles, all the opportunities. He wants the talent. It's hard to really pick one thing there. There's so many to choose from.
Because to
his
the best
connections and isn't Seacrest rumored to be gay? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's well. It's if there are any. I'd say there's more. I don't know, anecdote, like gossip stuff about him than there was about Sam Simon, who I'm telling people online, you can barely find any information about Sam's sexuality one way or the other. It was one of the most closely protected sort of things, but I don't think there's any debate he was at least bi.
You know what? It's not important. But one of the things I think that came out of this was talking about Ryan multiple times. It wasn't just this one day.
That's right.
He would bring this up in other interviews. And it also turned into not only do you think he could do ballet, which turned into do you think he could suck himself off, which then turned into could he shave his asshole? And by that point, I think most of us were just like, we're in the corner rocking, with PTSD.
Yes, absolutely. And so this continues. You'll hear it.
He once said to some guy I know, how come Howard Stern makes more money than me and I have 19 jobs?
Now this, by the way, the pause, everything, this is, nobody said anything to him. This is Wig telling, this is no different than when Trump said, someone told me. This is, instead of saying I want to know about his 19 jobs and this and that, and the fact that he's hooked up with the Kardashians. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Seacrest bankrolled one of their shows, the reality shows, or both of them, and has a piece of them.
The original one, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, that was a Seacrest production. So,
massive hit.
Yeah, that got him right on the board, and he hasn't slowed down one bit since with radio shows, hosting Idol, different things. Yeah. Yeah,
New Year's Eve, the Clark gig, basically, and he, say what you like about Ryan Seacrest, and I'm not a fan of his one bit, but that guy he's a mogul. He's absolutely a mogul now, and he has more. Even though you go on celebrity net worth and all that bullshit, which is never accurate anyway, they're saying he makes less than Howard. I don't buy it for a minute. I think he's making shitloads more, and that's why bring him up. On the other hand, if he was up and coming and really not making more than Howard, I think he still would bring him up because he's so prolific and so out there and young and vibrant and good looking. So, and maybe gay and hidden, and that's another thing, because this goes back to when. If he is gay and hiding it and successfully hiding it in public life, Wig used to go after Ellen and Rosie and all kinds of people and say they were secretly gay back in the day. At least Ellen, I know that one for a fact. And Tom Cruise, that was the one. Tom Cruise, even though he wouldn't say it, he would intimate about it. So I don't know. I think that might be playing into it. What's your take on the whole thing?
Well, I know. Okay, I'm just going to say this. I really don't give a crap about gay, but when Howard's blasting it into my ears with these horrible analogies or the way he describes it, that's when I have a problem. I don't have a problem with gay people. And the reason I thought that Seacrest has that gay side to him is he was mentored by Merv Griffin. He was sort of that was his godfather. So he trained him and taught him the ropes. And that's where he became the mogul that Merv was. Yeah. So I don't know if there was some Merv Ryan love maybe in there, but that's just me putting it out there. Yeah. Regardless, Ryan is likable, does a perfectly good job, whatever he does.
Sure.
So no one could ever say anything, and he has no dirt on him.
None.
No, I'm agreeing with you 100% exactly. He's as professional as they come.
Yeah, in this particular case, I think it's just pure jealousy for his success and the fact that he's got successful production going on and shows that work and whatever endorsements, and Wig really doesn't. And I think if we really saw Wig's net worth, not in terms of what he's amassed, but what he's making per year, and that's really what's driving him to jealousy, because he's got to know that, like Ryan is going to become Merv Griffin if he isn't already, and he's still young. What is he, in his 40s?
I'd say early 40s.
Yeah. Okay. So he's young. He's got decades ahead of him. If all, barring some Me Too scandal or something he's done and that derailing him, that's a whole other issue. So this is the rest of the clip. It's really horrendously disgusting. So you'll hear for yourself, folks.
I said, because, you're not doing anything all that revolutionary, dude. You rack up good numbers, by doing multiple jobs. I'm good enough that I could have one job. I don't mean to brag, but it's just the way it is. So you keep doing your 500 jobs and that's it. Yeah, he's doing everything. And he's got a girlfriend. He's in a relationship. I don't see he has time for any of that. He's doing American Idol.
I don't know, yeah.
He does every award show.
Like the other day he had on monogrammed PJs. They had an RS on the pocket.
Wow. What's wrong with that?
Somebody pointed that out. He goes, well, I had a maid for me and my girlfriend.
That's why you're not making more money than me. I'm pretty sure it's the monogram pajamas. People don't want to pay people who wear monogram pajamas.
Well, apparently they are. And you're selling what exactly? Stilettos? Or whatever the fuck they're called now. I have no idea if there even are is there even hardware for Sirius anymore? Boom boxes, I'm sure, but at this point in time, really?
Most of the stuff you have to find on eBay, old parts that people are selling. My brother has a boom box that he listens to. So he's, when one craps out, he might go on eBay and find stuff there. I haven't seen any new equipment advertised.
Yeah. So this continues and it gets really horrendously gross, folks. Stay tuned.
The guest said, Brian, is that a monogram?
On today's show, we're going to ask some guy if he thinks Ryan is limber enough to do ballet. That's fascinating. Tomorrow, we're going to find out if you think Ryan has a thick or watery load. We'll be answering that.
She's laughing, but I'm lost. I'm lost for words. Let's continue. Let's barrel forward and get this one over the over the rainbow. Howard hates Jimmy Fallon's kids also.
I was thinking about you and your wife and your kids and stuff, and I'm like, the people who have it the roughest are the ones who are home with their little kids. How old are your kids now? They look like they're 2 or something.
They're 5 and 6.
Now, the next clip, world's best absentee father asking Jimmy if he's actually present with his kids. Again, guys, he is pushing this point so much. You tell us if you think we're full of shit.
Do you remember, like, you used to go into the city and you'd go to that job and everyone would suck your balls all day and, like, you would just be the host of the Tonight Show. Now you're like, yeah, honey, I'm gonna go do some stuff, but I'll teach math later. Are you actually teaching the kids any stuff? You're not teaching, are you?
Okay, and we're going to go into it into another day, but not today. But that's really what he's missing most of all. He's going into Sirius and getting his ass fucking kissed, and he addresses it. He does say it. He doesn't quite seethe about it, but that's really what it is. Everybody does everything for me. I actually now have to do more now at home than I do when I go into work. That's his big problem.
That's the therapist's complaint.
What's that? That he has to actually do work when he's at home? Like that he's actually getting up and work. Now home is work.
Right. That he has to print his own papers, that allegedly he's making his own food. And he's got to do the show he's got to carry this whole show on his own shoulders in the dungeon. Yeah. And people aren't keeping up their part, like getting calls to come through or getting Zoom hookups. And he's still being catered to. They're still doing all the work. It's not like he's setting up these Zoom calls. That's Bowie. That's Brandano. That's
Ben Bardo.
Ben. Some guy, Ben Ben Bardo. Yeah.
Yeah.
All these guys are helping him behind the scenes. And you hear little things every now and then who'll be like, guys, my computer's blank. Someone help me. I'm waving my arms around. No one can see me. No one's doing anything. Just somebody come in and tell me you're doing something. So that's his troubleshooting.
Now, the next clip is called Jimmy Makes the Mistake of Asking About the Music Hater About Music.
This fucking guy loves music like nobody I know. You once asked me in a private conversation, what is like the greatest song ever?
Now, this, by the way, everybody, Jimmy does, I can't remember, I think it was about an hour, 15 minutes. So he's on par. But by the end, he's also desperate to get the fuck out of there. Like, Howard will not let him go. And the whole interview, we can tell you, we're not going to go through all of it because it's just music stuff. It's all stuff you talked about in high school, like who's the best guitarist and who's the, what song's better than this one, which is all subjective. So who gives a shit about this? And then when he makes him go into these these awful impressions, some of them are all right, but there's nothing worse than asking an impressionist to how he gets an impression or why how he comes up with it. You find out your own self that you can do an impression and you do it, or you can't, so you don't. That's as simple as it is. And ask any one of them. Some of them practice, of course, but it's not interesting to ask about the process. Yes, Raven.
Okay, so the music questions that he's asking Jimmy, that's what he must do at these Hamptons socialite parties. That's his go-to. It's like, what's your favorite Zeppelin song? Or, give me your top 5 guitarists or drummers.
Yeah, right.
That must be how he fills time with people, because it seems like him and Jimmy have done this before, and Jimmy was kind of like, oh God, here we go again.
Yes.
He was kind of wavering. He didn't want to give an answer because Jimmy rides the middle of the line.
He has to.
The middle of the road. The other thing is, the impressions. Jimmy's done these all before. Every time he's on, he's got Jimmy doing the impressions. He went through his whole SNL audition.
Yes.
And every impression he did there. So why? Poor Jimmy. I feel terrible for Jimmy. He's such, he seems like an upstanding guy, trying to work hard, trying to, do a show from home.
Right.
With his kids and his wife, who's helped. They're all pitching in. It looks great. I give him props for that.
Yes.
But Wiggy's doing his Wiggy's just draining the life out of him. And he goes along because he's a Hamptons, buddy. He's one of those guys. He's a yes man to Howard.
I think if someone like Jimmy had laid down the law and said, look, I can only do a half hour, Howard would have taken it. He absolutely would have taken it. He would have tried his best to stretch it out and would have stretched it out to 40 minutes. But the idea, the impressions, he didn't ask him to do his Cosby impression. But literally, and I don't know if it's on my channel, but 2007, Jimmy comes in pre-Tonight Show stuff and does Cosby, does Sandler, does Seinfeld, does every single impression again. And to me, it was kind of like having Rich Little on a late night show for the upteenth time or the roast doing George Burns and every fucking impression of dead people people are no longer around, and they're tired. And I think it actually made Jimmy look worse than he actually is. I'm not a fan of Jimmy Fallon's. I don't watch his show, but I appreciate his work ethic and the fact that he's actually trying. He's putting way more effort into his show than I see other guys into their late night shows. Certainly more than Letterman did near the last 10 years of his tenure. And certainly more tan Leno did, even though Leno was a kind of a regimented, kind of, old, systematically road-worn comedian doing a show. Jimmy, having done sketches and actually being one of the worst people on SNL because he couldn't stop laughing through any sketch. I salute his work ethic, and I think he puts on a good product for most people on average. So for him to have to go through this and sit through the questions like this is just insane.
And I turned to you and I was like, I don't fucking know. And you're like, no, you tell me the greatest song. And I was like, Jimmy, I don't know. Like he really pushed it. So I go, Jimmy, Led Zeppelin. Okay, thank you. It's a great love song. And you looked at me like you wanted to kill me. You were like...
So he picked Thank You or something like... I think he picked Thank You, the Zeppelin song, which, yeah, is a wonderful song, but Howard doesn't know about music. He only knows what people tell him to like. So, hence, if Ralph told him something is good, he's going to say it was good. Bat Dance is the best Prince song, right? So, yeah.
Right. Fuck you. This guy used profanity. Everyone thinks he's super clean. He's like, fuck you, Led Zeppelin, really?
Yeah. And here's another. So the best song question.
Best song. Is it Alone Again, Naturally?
No, come on. What is the greatest song ever written?
It's got to be a Beatles song, I'm assuming.
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
It might be say Hey Jude.
Really? No.
All these things are fucking completely subjective, guys. I don't know why it merits an hour and 15 minutes, but he spent half an hour talking about music bullshit, 10 minutes talking about his kids and all this horse shit, then another 20 minutes doing impressions. So here we go with best guitarist now.
All right, here's an easy one. Who is the best guitarist that ever lived?
Right. Best guitarist that ever lived.
Yeah.
It's got to be Jimi Hendrix.
That's correct.
This is
what
riveting.
About Eddie Van Halen?
So, again, we're going back to high school with these fucking questions. And on top of that, once again, what's Jimmy going to say? What does everybody say? Jimi Hendrix. Pretty much everybody says. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix clapped and all this horseshit. So, next one. Jimmy's shitty Springsteen impression, which, by the way, was horrendously bad. I'm sorry, Jimmy.
And you also love Bruce Springsteen to death.
I love Bruce. Jimmy, it's so great to have you here. Good morning. I remember when my dad used to wake up and listen to Howard Stern in the morning.
And the only person who did this one justice was Artie back in the early days of the show when they started talking about Springsteen's in-concert raps before. And it was one of the funniest first bits Artie did when he wasn't a regular, talking about right before the river. Do you remember that clip?
No, I think I need to rehear that. I need to re-listen to that one. I can't remember that one. I've heard a lot of Artie ones.
I'll have to play it for you because and Bowie comes in. It was back when the show was really flying, and they're just goofing on Springsteen's raps and saying how he had it tough. He could only get HBO Plus, and and the accent that he had, that like he's supposed to be from Jersey, but he sounds like he's from Nebraska, even though he released a great album called Nebraska. And then this is the tortured man asking about the torture of learning impressions. So dig.
Yeah, because to me, it is a kind of torture. In other words, you're not sitting there enjoying the movie. You're sitting there going, uh-oh, I think I'm onto something big here. I'm going to master this voice, and then I'm going to do it on The Tonight Show, and I'm going to get big laughs. It's not real enjoyment.
Okay, go ahead. I know you can see you're just kind of cringing.
It's just like, how do you write a song? How many minutes did it take you to make this song? Well, how many minutes did it take you to learn this impression? People have talents for things and they know it.
Yes.
Wiggy wouldn't understand that because he doesn't have those talents.
No, he doesn't. And it's always a numbers thing. It has to be something. It's almost going to be math to him. Like, let's see, A plus a little Steve Dahl plus a little Grease Man might get me a little formula here to get my radio station, my show played in, WNRK in Wichita. And, it's because you're right. Nothing's organic to him. So here's another going into impressions questions.
So when you're watching Knives Out, now you're onto something. This is something you're going to develop, right? Is it the same way when you do Sandler or you do Pee Wee Herman? Is it lock yourself in a room and like do it over and over and over again?
See, when he had Craig Gasson back in the day and had him do whatever impressions, it was way funnier because he just let him do the impressions. He didn't go into the mechanics of how he fucking did impressions. And Craig Gass, maybe one of my favorite stories when he talked about who was it? Bob Schimmel called into a show where he was impersonating Gene Simmons and said, I'm a huge fan. Then he brought up his cancer. He goes, Gene, like off air, he goes, I want to tell you I'm a really big fan. And Craig didn't let on that it was him. So he goes,
oh, no.
He goes, so he's still in the voice of Gene Simmons. And after he talked about, listen, I have cancer. And, one of the things that got me through was Kiss music, and then he does that Gene Simmons impression. He goes, the Kiss Army supports you, Robert. And he said, because Schimmel got pissed off when he found out it really wasn't him after the fact. So anyway, but that was way funnier than when you heard those organic impressions. Now instead we got to go through the fucking the architecture of doing an impression, because also Wiggy can't do impressions. He's never been able to do them. Even of his parents, they're shitty now. One last clip and then we're gonna wrap this one up.
Don't you miss the part like just printing out all the paper and all your notes and everything? And then
I had bought a printer. I had bought a printer. I have stacks of paper that I'm printing out. I miss my props department. I miss my makeup and hair. I miss wardrobe. I miss the writers. I've been helping, and honestly, they've been amazing. My staff has been great. And everyone.
I know. I mean, what kind of show is this? I'm actually getting my own food.
Oh God.
I didn't get in this business to be sitting here printing out pieces of paper. I have people.
You're a big
for that.
star.
I'm a big star.
I'm a big star. You know who I am. Come on.
Okay, so that's in a nutshell, isn't it? That I don't know. Maybe we could have just played that clip and done a 2-minute podcast.
Well, I think, okay, so that's the projection. That's what he's talking to the therapist about, is why am I in this position right now? He's blaming the world for his problems, for not having a chef, for not having the wig stylist, the makeup, the
maid service.
Maid service, Consuela, a whole staff of people, who's, he's got no helicopter. But the thing is, I think that showing the Jimmy things just real quickly like that gives you an in-depth picture into what he does during these interviews and how overplayed they are, and how he's gone to the well too many times with these same people. He's got nothing new to talk about. If they had something going on, great. But he could have handled Jimmy a lot differently, and not in such an extensive format. Poor Jimmy, he's got to put out a live show, and he's scrambling. So are the others, And this is he's an indentured servant to Wiggy.
Yeah,
and we're the ones who suffer.
We're the ones who suffer. Now, the bottom line, and you touched on something really also, but Jimmy, in that short clip, you heard he said it outright, knowing it's on the Stern Show and still saying, "Look, I miss my writers, I miss my prop department, all that stuff." He enjoys being at work. Wiggy doesn't enjoy working, period. So it doesn't matter where he is, he's just not going to enjoy it. And if you notice, at no point so this is, April 1st, so 3 days this week, 3 days of the last week. In the 6 days, did you hear him praise Bowie, Bardo, any of these back office people for doing anything? Yeah, even though, there was problems littered throughout the whole every broadcast. Did he thank him one time for setting him up? No.
No, I don't think any of the radio staff got any kind of thanks other than Beef for all that she was doing. She got the praise. She was the only one to get praised. Everybody else got put down for whatever they had in their house, for not being quarantined, for going to the store. God forbid they have to go to the store and buy some groceries, or the drugstore and get some medicine. He can't relate to the common person. So nobody got thanks. Not a one. I promise you.
And that's par for the course anyway. But it just serves to illustrate the coloring book that is Howard. But anyway, we're going to wrap this one up, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed this breakdown of the week of the 30th, 31st, and the 1st of April, 30th of the end of March and the beginning of April. We're going to try to get the next week, which was the last. Was it 6th, 7th, 8th at the end of this week? We don't know that we're going to have 3 podcasts out in a week because we like to space them out a little bit, but we hope you enjoy what we put on. And thank you so much, Raven, for sitting in for these 2 shows. It was such a pleasure. And
Thanks for having me.
We miss Sam, of course, because she's got so many barbs of similes and metaphors that we can mix up here, but she's missed. So we hope you feel better, Sam. We love you.
Yes,
and,
Sam, we miss you.
Yeah, and for the next one, hopefully, if you can be on board, we'll love to have you on. And if you can't, no biggie. We'd always encourage you to try your best to come in when you can. And we wish everybody to stay safe. You would like to say something, please?
I really enjoy doing these, so I hope that people enjoy listening to them. I always enjoy listening to you and Sam. And just, I want to send some love out to everybody that's hearing this. And just hang in there and find laughter, find joy, support those you love, and, tell your kids it's going to be okay.
Yep, it just takes time, guys. We're 8 weeks, and we saw the curve go down drastically after about 5 weeks. It's not there's no quick fix, and it's just going to take time. And take care of everybody. Wash more than you think, and like you said, lotion. That's the secret. No one's maybe not many people know about it, but yeah, you can never have too much lotion, and you don't need it for jerking off all the time. So save the jerkins, folks. Have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks, and take care.